Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. After dying hundreds of millions of times, I copied my talent and killed all races. Chapter 1. Students, tomorrow is the time for the school to carry out talent awakening. After awakening, everyone can officially embark on the martial arts. Before awakening, I want to remind you of a few points. First of all, after awakening your talent, no matter whether your talent is strong or weak, do not leak it to others at will. Today, there are still some people who worship pagan religions behind the human race. Talent will be the most important help in your future martial arts, even if you are the closest person, you can't tell me. Secondly, after your talent awakens, there are still 6 months left before the college entrance examination, which is about 180 days. These more than 180 days are the most important time in your life for you. I hope every student will pay attention to this period of time. During this period, I will also talk to your family and prepare as many qi and blood medicines and blood foods for you as possible. What you have to do is to improve yourself as much as possible. Strength, strive to achieve excellent results in the college entrance examination. Last point, now the battle between the human race and all races has gradually gained the upper hand. Teacher believes that with the addition of a group of fresh blood like you, sooner or later, all races will be completely driven out of our homeland. I wish you all martial arts Changlong, contribute your share to the human race's victory over all races. On the podium, a bald middle-aged man was speaking impassionedly. All the students in the audience also clenched their fists at this moment. They have been studying for more than 10 years, learning about martial arts, and the knowledge of all races for more than 10 years, just for today. And among many classmates, a young man with handsome features, black hair and black eyes was in a daze, seemingly not inspired by the teacher's words on the stage. On the side, his deskmate seemed to have noticed something unusual about him. I nudged him lightly with my arm. Brother Mew, what's wrong with you today? I feel like you're not in the right state today. You've been in a daze. After being nudged by her deskmate, Su Mew seemed to have recovered from her daze. He looked at his deskmate, paused and said, "Do you think the human race will perish?" After hearing Su Mew's words, my deskmate seemed to have heard some big joke. Brother Mew, are you stupid in your sleep? Since the 7 saints of the human race killed all the god kings of the 10 major god clans 50 years ago, our human race has always had the upper hand in the battle with the 10,000 clans. If we want to, the destruction should also be the destruction of all races. How could the human race be destroyed? Indeed, thousands of years ago, thousands of races invaded Blue Star. During this period, some ancestors discovered the secret method, which allowed human beings, like all other races, to awaken powerful talents and enter the martial arts. Since then, the world has entered the era of high martial arts. It also officially kicked off the battle between the human race and all races. Over the past 10,000 years, countless strong men have emerged in the human race. Thanks to the successive efforts of these powerful human beings, the battle between the human race and the 10,000 races went from showing no resistance at the beginning to gradually being able to fight on equal terms. Then 50 years ago, the 7 saints of the human race generalized the 10 gods of the gods. Kill all the god kings. The human race has gradually gained the upper hand in the battle with all races. In this case, how could the human race possibly perish? However, Su Mew knew that this was not a joke. Just yesterday, he got a weird diary. After opening the diary, the first sentence in it made his hair stand on end. My name is Su Mew. When you read this sentence, the human race has been destroyed. At first, he thought the diary was created as a prank on him. Otherwise, why would his name just appear on it, and then come up with such nonsense as the demise of the human race? However, as he continued to read the diary, this idea was completely overturned. For me 10 years ago, your first reaction when you saw this sentence must have been that someone made this a prank to play on you. But don't worry, I will use 3 things to prove that I am you, the future you. At this point in time, you should still be on the eve of awakening your talent, that is, my senior year in high school. The first thing is that you actually had a crush on your neighbor's sister Ji Yu Yanxi. Unfortunately, when you were a freshman in high school, Ji Yu Yanxi's family moved to Longjing because you were admitted to Longjing Martial Arts University. After that, your secret love will only gradually die out. When Su Mu saw this, she had already half believed it. No one knew about her secret crush on Ji Yu Yanxi except herself. Even the person involved, the neighbor's sister Ji Yu Yanxi whom he had a crush on, never knew about this matter. Disclaimer: the reason why I wrote this is just to enrich the protagonist characters, they may not necessarily be together. After all, in the real world, who has never liked someone? But if you like someone, it does not mean that they will be together. Don't think too much about it. The second thing, the thing you regret most since you were a child is that when you were a child, you went to the neighbor's uncle's house to watch TV. In the afternoon, your parents looked for you everywhere, and they passed by the house where you were watching TV. When I entered the room, I yelled your name, but at that time, you thought your parents were coming to take you back, so you secretly turned off the TV to silence it and pretended that no one was there. But you found out later. Your grandfather suffered a serious illness that afternoon, and his last wish before he died was to see you again. Since then, you have never watched TV again. Quote. When Su Mu saw this, she could hardly hold her diary. This is the thing he regrets most. Grandpa was one of the people who loved him the most since childhood. When he was little, he was still a little chubby. Every time he went to the river to swim, Grandpa would always go to the river to look at him. While looking at him, he would feel proud. He told the people next to him that the white and fat one was his grandson. Every time he thought about the last time he didn't see his grandfather, he couldn't help but feel a twitch in his heart, and because of this, he never watched TV again after that day. This matter was also buried deep in his heart. He did not dare to mention it, let alone did not want to mention it. Now, the future him in the diary actually knew about this matter, and the causes and consequences, including what he was thinking in his heart, was absolutely correct. The third thing, well, the first two things are fine. This third thing, to be honest, I am a little ashamed of myself, but I believe that after I finish saying this third thing, you should be right. You have no doubt that I am the future. Are you right, Su, the rising eighth saint of the human race, the peerless genius who has not yet risen, the patron saint of the future human race, Mu? To be honest, if Su Mu had read the third thing first, she probably wouldn't even have to read the first two things to be sure that the person who left this diary was definitely her future self. But when I was sure that this diary was left by my future self, then it also represents one thing. The human race will perish in the future. What also concerned Su Mu was, underneath the third thing mentioned in the diary, my future self wrote a sentence in fonts as red as blood. We must kill Ning Yi. I'm back. As soon as she got home, Su Mu threw her school bag on the sofa. Come back, more, wash your hands and eat quickly. Today your mother used black pig meat to make braised pork for you. Originally, I said that I would cook it for you when you awaken your talent tomorrow. It will help you improve your vitality and blood. I can't defeat you. Mom must make something for you to try first. With his upper body bare and sweating profusely from the heat, Su Dashan took out the electric fan from Su Mu's room and pointed the fan head in the direction of the dining table. I'll give it a try. It's my first time cooking with meat from an alien race. I don't know if it tastes to your liking, Lu Yufan said as she brought the hot leftovers to the table. The young man who had already sat at the table also shouted in the direction of Su Mu, Brother, if you don't come to eat, I will finish it. Lu Yufan on the side rolled her eyes at the young man and said, Yanger, just try it. This meat is specially bought for your brother to eat. Your brother will take the college entrance examination in 6 months. To replenish his energy and blood, you have to eat it. If you really want to eat it, Mom will buy some ordinary pork and make a big plate of braised pork for you. Quote. When Su Yang heard this, he swallowed aggrievedly, but nodded sensibly, I understand, Mom. Su Mu also came to the dinner table at this moment. However, he was a little uneasy and did not put his mind on the dinner table. He had been thinking about the diary. According to the contents of the diary, my future self has set conditions in my diary. Only at a certain time, or when Su Mu has enough strength, will some of the contents in the diary appear. Su Mu can roughly guess the reason why her future self did this. Some things and some people, if you know the outcome in advance, then when you face it again, your mentality will be different. Knowing too early may cause unnecessary trouble. Just like Ning Yi mentioned in the sentence left by her future self. Just mentioning a name and no other information. Su Mu guessed that his future self wanted to tell him that this person named Ningyi was very important. But with Su Mu's current strength and background, even if she meets this person, she may not be able to kill him. Therefore, information about this person will most likely not appear until some time in the future, or when Su Mu's strength reaches a certain level. But why would my future self leave such a sentence in bright red font? According to Su Mu's understanding of herself, it is estimated that that person is so important that his future self knows that it is impossible, but still can't help but want to remember his name in this way. With a little hope, maybe there is a chance. Kill the expectations of that guy named Ningyi in advance. Although I am very curious about Ningyi. But at this moment, Su Mu was more curious about the next contents of the diary. According to what the diary says, the content on the next page will be displayed 12 hours before he awakens his talent. That is, tonight at 12 o'clock. More, what's going on? Why don't you eat it? Is what mom cooked not to your liking? Lu Yufan noticed something was wrong with Su Mu and put a piece of braised pork into Su Mu's bowl. I tasted the taste on my chopsticks. He murmured to himself curiously. I simmered it for more than an hour, it should be delicious. Yanger, does this braised pork taste good? Su Yang, whose face was covered with sauce, nodded quickly when he heard this. Yeah, the meat of this black pig is 10,000 times more delicious than ordinary pork. Lu Yufan smiled happily. It's not that exaggerated. If you eat another one, you are not allowed to eat any more. The rest will be left to your brother. Su Yang nodded. I know, Mom, I really want to grow up quickly. When I am about to take the college entrance examination, I can eat delicious food every day. You're a snack. Su Dashan on the side also laughed loudly. What are these? If you are admitted to a martial arts university in the future, the food there will be good. I heard that in the cafeteria, some food is used every day. Dishes made from the meat of exotic beasts on the battlefield, and every college student at Ippon Martial Arts University has a blood food subsidy every month. Su Yang's eyes lit up when he heard this. Really? Then when my brother is admitted to a martial arts university, wouldn't he be able to take me to eat delicious food in the school? Lu Yufan rolled her eyes at Su Yang. I just want to rely on your brother. When the time comes, your brother won't have enough to eat by himself. Su Yang chuckled. I'll just taste it, I won't eat a lot. Su Mu also seemed to be infected by the atmosphere at the dinner table. He shook his head. Don't think about what's in the diary for now. Anyway, new content will not appear until after 12 o'clock in the evening. Thinking about it now is just adding trouble. I'm fine, Mom. Su Mu took a big bite of the braised pork and said, this meat is really good. Mom and Dad, you should try some too. Su Dashan and Lu Yufan looked at each other and said, okay, you and Yanger can just eat. While you two are still growing, we are two old bones. Don't let it go. Su Yang on the side interjected. Brother, I can eat it. I won't be exhausted. Su Mu rolled her eyes at Su Yang, put a piece of braised pork into Su Yang's bowl and said with a smile, you can eat it, but you have to study hard after eating it. I will check your history of human race when you are free later in the evening. How's it going? Ah, here's Su Mu's words. Su Yang, who was biting into the braised pork, suddenly felt that the meat in his bowl was not fragrant. There was a sudden burst of laughter at the dinner table. Su Mu, who was also smiling, could not hide the worry in her heart. Dad, Mom, Xiaoyang, I won't let anything happen to you. The human race will definitely not perish. Must. The night is getting darker. At this moment Su Mu has returned to her room. His room was very small, less than 10 square meters. But for him, this room of less than 10 square meters is his most free place. At this moment, he was lying on the bed and covering the book, Initial Interpretation of Martial Arts, in his hand. Look at the alarm clock aside. The alarm clock's hour hand already pointed to 11:59. It's almost time. Su Mu got out of bed, took out a sheepskin-covered diary from under the bed, and came to the table. After turning on the desk lamp, it was almost 12 o'clock. Su Mu couldn't wait to open the diary in her hand. On the previous page, the sentence, destruction of the human race, and the sentence in bright red font are still somewhat eye-catching. Su Mu tried to turn to the next page. Before 12 o'clock today, no matter how he turned the page, he could not turn the next page. But now, it can be opened easily. After opening it, the first sentence Su Mu saw shocked him again. After my talent awakens, I will definitely die in Chen Bin's hands immediately. How about it? When you saw this sentence, you were shocked, right? However, I am not joking with you. Next, listen to me explain to you. Tomorrow at 12 noon, you will begin to awaken your talents, and you will awaken an unprecedented EX level talent. Seeing this, Su Mu was stunned for a moment. X level talent. Judging from the knowledge he has learned about talents, it seems that the highest level talents are only SSS level talents. In the diary, his future self seemed to know his doubts and explained them in passing. The so-called X level talents are talents that are superior to SSS level talents. There has never been anyone with X level talents in the human race. Even among all races, there are only a few people with X level talents. Every one of them has it as extremely strictly protected, so the highest level of talent known to the human race is the SSS level. X level talents are extremely powerful. Everyone with X level talents will become an absolute powerhouse without any accident. And until the end of the human race, there has never been a second person with X level talents. Am I the only person in the human race with an EX level talent? Su Mu felt that her breathing was a little short. However, your EX level talent has once again been called the most useless EX level talent, because your EX level talent is copied after death. Posthumous copying, as the name suggests, means that after you die, you can copy the talent of the person who killed you. But think about it, everyone is dead, even if you copy the other person's talent, what will happen? Isn't it useless? Su Mu's heart suddenly cooled down. As my future self said, yes, everyone is dead, so what can you do even if you copy the other person's talent? However, he quickly adjusted. Since my future self said so. So it must not be as simple as mocking him. I mentioned before that he must be killed by Chen Bin. Could it be that it has something to do with Chen Bin? Chen Bin is a rich second generation in his class. His grades were not good, but his family was rich. Long before he awakened his talent, his family bought him a lot of supplements, such as talent enhancement liquids and talent supplements. He also often shows off in the class and so on. Children from a family like Su Mu and this rich second generation have always been in two different worlds. But because the rich second generation looks down on people like Su Mu who are from ordinary backgrounds but are better than him. So sometimes I don't deal with Su Mu. Su Mu was too lazy to pay attention to him. Continue to read the contents of the diary. I believe you are smart and have guessed it. Yes, the key lies in Chen Bin. Chen Bin will awaken an SSS level talent when he awakens his talent tomorrow, a 12-hour delay after death. 12 hours of rewind after death, which means you can return to the time and space 12 hours ago after death. This ability is quite incredible. If it weren't for some restrictions, it would be considered the worst X level. You are gifted, but what will happen when you are copied after death and encounter a death rollback of 12 hours? Copy after death plus rollback after death for 12 hours. Su Mu's head seemed to explode. His gift is the ability to replicate the person who killed him after death. And if a 12-hour delay in death is added, that means every time Su Mu dies, she can copy one of the opponent's talents and go back to 12 hours ago. Theoretically, Su Mu can copy talents infinitely. You must have thought of it. That's right, it's an infinite copy talent. With Chen Bin's talent, your most useless EX level talent will immediately become the strongest EX level talent. There is no one like it. And this is just the first step. Seeing this, Su Mu felt her blood boiling in her heart. If it's really like what my future self said, then I really want to be awesome. The first step is to make sure that you must die in Chen Bin's hands. You can only die in his hands. If you die in the hands of someone else, then you are really dead. The following sentence seemed to pour another bucket of cold water on Su Mu. Indeed, if he died in the hands of others, even if you can copy someone else's talent. But by then, he was already dead, so what was the use? Moreover, this kind of thing is letting oneself die. Even if Su Mu already understands the causes and consequences of dying. But I still felt a little uneasy in my heart. He closed the diary with some irritation. After thinking for a while, I opened the diary again. If it is true as what his future self said, that what he awakens is a copy after death, and what Chen Bin awakens is a 12-hour delay in death, then no matter what, it is worth fighting for. Isn't it just death? What's so scary? He breathed a sigh of relief. Su Mu read the contents of the diary again. How about it? I think you need some time to adjust your mentality, but I know myself. If all this is true, I don't mind taking risks, so I also believe that you can do it. Quote. After you take the first step, it's not over yet. The next thing I want to tell you is equally important. Chen Bin, the son of Chen Tianhe of the Chen family in Baihei City, awakened his SSS-level talent at the age of 18. 12 hours later, with the help of this talent and the help of his family, he was successfully admitted to Longjing Martial Arts University. During his time at the Martial Arts University, entered the battlefield of all races many times. Through the blessing of his talent, Chen Bin quickly accumulated meritorious service on the battlefield of thousands of races. In 7 years, he has become a warrior of the 3 realms. In the 1129th year of the martial arts calendar, Chen Bin entered the 4 realms. There were 8 outstanding talents who made great contributions to his contemporaries. 9 of them are called the 9 stars of the human race. In July of the same year, Chen Bin killed 8 other people from the 9 stars of the human race, stole the human race's planned defense map in the eastern theater of the 10,000 races battlefield, and defected from the human race. In the 1130th year of the martial arts calendar, Chen Bin, as the leader of the vanguard force of the 10,000 tribes against the human race, led 100,000 aliens to conquer the eastern theater of the 10,000 tribes battlefield. Look at the things recorded in the diary. Su Mu's fists gradually tightened. He originally thought that Chen Bin was at best a rich second generation spoiled by his family. Although he hates Chen Bin, there is no big hatred between the two. But I never expected that according to what my future self said, Chen Bin would actually be a traitor to the human race in the future. Why did he betray the human race? My future self seems to know what Su Mu wants to ask. You must be curious about why he betrayed the human race, right? I asked him the same question. Do you know how he answered me? He said that after he met a person on the battlefield of all races, he realized that all races with such people existing, it is impossible for the human race to win. Instead of following the human race and being doomed to failure, it is better to abandon the darkness and turn to the light as soon as possible. Quote. It's strange, who is he? A person with the talent of reverting to death, who should have experienced countless deaths, is so scared that he becomes a traitor to the human race. I probably know a little bit, but I can't tell you now, but I am certain that if there is anyone in the human race who can defeat that person, it must be you. Having said so much, it's time to get back to the topic. If you have successfully completed the first step, then you should immediately start the second step as I said. Kill Chen Bin before he awakens his talent. My talent will be awakened soon. Brother Mu, are you excited? Before you know it, the day has come to awaken your talent. The entire senior year of high school has now gathered on the school playground and started lining up. There is a temporary talent awakening machine here. Su Mu's class was in the 3rd venue. Many students in the class were very excited and looked excitedly at the machine in front of them. My desk mate Li Shangdong was also next to Su Mu at this moment. I'm not excited, I'm a little nervous. Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. His eyes fell back. Not far away, there was a young man with blonde hair. It was Chen Bin, the rich second generation of Su Mu's class. Chen Bin was enjoying the compliments from people around him with a proud look on his face. He didn't seem to notice that there was a gaze directed at him not far away. Now let's start awakening talents. Everyone should line up according to their student numbers. Students whose names are called should come to the front to awaken their talents. After awakening their talents, don't stay in the square. You can go directly to the school's training hall for martial arts training, or you can go to the school. Go to the library to find physical training and breathing techniques that suit you. The person in charge of the talent awakening instrument in front shouted loudly. The next moment, the students in the class began to line up one by one. Just at this time, Su Mu suddenly walked out of the team and walked quickly to the front of the team. I'm sorry, classmate Fang Ling, my cell phone is out of battery. Can I borrow your cell phone to send a text message to my family? I left something at home, and I would like to trouble my family to send it to me. Okay, okay. The girl named Fang Ling was stunned for a moment, and then quickly took out her mobile phone from her body. Su Mu took the phone, smiled at Fang Ling, and walked quickly away. Looking at Su Mu's retreating figure, several girls next to her approached her with gossipy faces. Ling Ling, what did Su Mu want to see you for just now? I heard it. I seemed to be asking Ling Ling to borrow her mobile phone. Hee, it's really strange. Why didn't you borrow your mobile phone from us? That's it, why don't you ask us to borrow your mobile phone? You don't think our Fang Ling is the beauty of the class. It seems that the handsome guy Su usually has a cold temper, but after all, he still can't match the charm of our Ling Ling. Fang Ling blushed slightly at what they said, and said coquettishly, what nonsense are you talking about? They just asked me to borrow a mobile phone. The 3 years of high school are when everyone is young and ignorant. Whenever there is some communication between men and women, they are always easily teased. After a while, Su Mu came back and returned the phone to Fang Ling, and returned to the team. It took about half an hour to queue. Finally it was Su Mu's turn. The talent awakening device is a black metal ball. The awakened person needs to enter the metal ball and press his hand on an instrument inside. After that, the talent awakening device will be activated to help the awakened person awaken his talent. Enter the talent awakener. Su Mu officially began to awaken her talent, accompanied by a sharp sound in the ear. Next moment, a message appeared in Su Mu's mind. X-level talent. Copy after death. Copy after death. You can copy the opponent's talent after death. As your strength increases, the scope of copying can also continue to increase. Brief introduction. Su Mu's breath was stagnant. On the one hand, it's because this talent is exactly the same as what my future self said in the diary. On the other hand, based on the introduction of this talent, it seems that as one's strength increases, this posthumous copy can copy more than just the talent. I have to say that it is indeed an EX level talent. But it's a pity that this talent is still just an EX level talent that is extremely useless. Classmate, when you wake up, go out as soon as possible. The voice of the person in charge of the equipment nearby interrupted Su Mu, who was still in a daze. Su Mu nodded and quickly walked out of the talent awakening device. After leaving the talent awakener, Su Mu did not choose to go to the training hall or the library. Instead, he came to a hidden grove inside the school. I came to the grove and waited for about 10 minutes. A figure also appeared in the woods. The figure has blonde hair and looks extremely conspicuous. Ling Ling, I'm here, where are you? What do you want to tell me? The person who came was none other than Chen Bin. Chen Bin can now be said to be proud of his horse's hoof disease. Not to mention awakening an SSS level talent that is basically immortal. As soon as I woke up, I found that my goddess sent me a message, asking me to wait for her alone in the woods in the school. What the hell? I was already very proud of my martial arts skills, but I didn't expect that my love life would be about to have a bumper harvest now. Chen Bin felt that he was simply the proud son of heaven in the legend. I don't know if it's because I'm in a good mood, but even the air feels sweeter. Just thinking about it, a somewhat unexpected figure appeared in front of him. Su Mu, why are you here? Where is Ling Ling? Chen Bin looked at Su Mu in front of him in disbelief. Su Mu did not answer Chen Bin's question. Instead, he asked Chen Bin. If I'm not wrong, your awakened talent is the 12-hour delay in death, right? Hearing Su Mu actually accurately describe his talent, Chen Bin's expression became quite exciting. How do you know? After getting Chen Bin's affirmative answer, Su Mu's hanging heart was finally relieved. Although it has been determined that the diary was left by my future self. But after all, he was going to die, so Su Mu naturally had to be extremely cautious. Now, not only his own talent has been determined, but Chen Bin's talent has also been determined. Then there will be no mistakes or deviations in this plan. Su Mu met Chen Bin's eyes. Not only do I know that you have awakened your SSS level talent, I also know that the reason why you transferred to our school is because you had a manic episode in your original school and killed a classmate. Quote, although you escaped the sanctions of the warrior law with the help of your family, do you think you really escaped? You fart. Chen Bin's eyes suddenly turned red, and he grabbed Su Mu's collar. You can't escape. I will expose your behavior to everyone, including your talent. By that time, you will be despised by everyone. You're looking for death. Chen Bin gasped, and without paying any attention, Su Mu had already taken out a fruit knife from her arms and handed it to Chen Bin's hand. What's the use of clamoring? You are just a coward who only knows how to escape. Without your family, you are nothing. For someone like you, Fang Ling will never like you in his life. It seems that I have touched some pain point, or it may be due to other reasons. Chen Bin finally couldn't help but roared. I kill you. The next moment, poof. The white knife goes in and the red knife comes out. Poof, poof, poof. The severe pain made Su Mu's expression suddenly become ferocious. Seeing her consciousness gradually dissipating, Su Mu couldn't help but complain. This crazy fragrance lasts really long. The next moment, Su Mu's eyes became completely dark. Crazy fragrance, sweet smell. Ordinary people can speed up blood circulation and temporarily increase attack power after smelling it. If a manic patient smells it, it will cause him to fall into mania and lose his mind. 1 milliliter costs 3,000 yuan. A small bottle of crazy incense cost Su Mu the New Year's money she had saved for more than 10 years. Fortunately, the effect is pretty good. When Su Mu opened her eyes, there was already a dark space in front of him. In the center of this space, there is a golden ball of light. Under Su Mu's gaze, the golden ball of light flew quickly in his direction. The next moment, it merged into his body. At the moment when the golden ball of light merged into his body, there was an extra piece of information in his mind. SSS level talent. 12 hours of recovery after death. Rewind 12 hours after death. Every time you die, you can rewind to 12 hours ago, but each rewind will cause a certain loss of mental power. If you rewind too many times when your mental power is not strong enough, it is easy to cause a mental breakdown. He copied Chen Bin's SSS level talent. It was just after he successfully copied Chen Bin's SSS level talent. He suddenly felt that his whole body seemed to be attracted by a force. His eyes fell into darkness again. When he opens his eyes again, what came into view was a room that was extremely familiar to him. No hesitation, Su Mu grabbed the alarm clock above the bed. June 7th, 1 o'clock in the morning. The day for them to awaken their talents is at 12 noon on June 7th. Coupled with the time spent on awakening talent, he spent time waiting in the woods. In other words, he really went back to the 12 hours before his death. At the same time, a strong sense of fatigue came over me. Su Mu knew that this was the side effect of using the 12-hour death rollback. There will be a certain loss of your own mental strength. Even at this moment, he could still vaguely remember the severe pain when the dagger pierced his body when he died. A stream of heat flowed from his abdomen, as if all the strength in his body was gradually disappearing. Is that what death feels like? Su Mu smiled bitterly. But now is not the time for him to think about it. He took out the sheepskin-covered diary from under the bed. Quickly come to the table. Turn on the desk lamp and open the diary. Sure enough, the next page that could not be opened before could be opened again. If you can successfully read this sentence, it means that you have been successfully killed by Chen Bin based on the information I provided, and you have copied Chen Bin's talent. In this case, we should start the second step and kill Chen Bin before he awakens his talent. You also know that Chen Bin's talent is a 12-hour delay in death. If he awakens his talent and then kills him, it will be difficult to kill him. Therefore, you must kill him before he awakens his talent. This is why I told you about Chen Bin's future before, so that you can reduce some of your psychological burden. After all, this is your first time to kill someone. I remind you again that you have to remember that you are going to kill someone next. You are a traitor to the human race who will cause trouble to the human race in the future. What you did was to protect the human race and your family. Su Mu had to admit that her future self was indeed the person who understood him best. In just a few words, she had already helped him mentally build up. He took a long breath. Keep reading and start the diary. Killing Chen Bin, and it is behind the human race, is not an easy task for you, an ordinary person who has not yet awakened your talent. But fortunately, the rear area of the human race is not as peaceful as imagined. You can rely on the strength of others. Su Mu quickly read the contents of the diary. The side effects of the 12-hour delay in death caused some sweat to break out on his forehead. Apart from some mental drugs, the best way to recover from this kind of mental loss is to have a good sleep. But now, it is not the time to sleep. Su Mu quickly took out a brand new piece of white paper, tore off a corner, scribbled a pattern with a red pen, and carefully folded it into a heart shape. Then he dug out a set of all black clothes, a mask and a peaked cap from the clothes box under his bed. After quickly changing into them, he did not choose to leave through the front door, but opened the window and flipped outside. Their house is on the second floor, so going out through the window is not too dangerous. After leaving home, Su Mu quickly arrived at a nearby subway station according to what was said in the diary. Although it is night now, there are still a lot of people in the subway station. Su Mu came to exit 2 of the subway station. At exit 2, there is a newsstand. But now because it is night, the newsstand is closed. But Su Mu didn't care. Instead, he quickly stuffed the heart-shaped paper under the iron door of the newsstand. Then he knocked a few times on the iron door of the newsstand. After doing all this, Su Mu left quickly. It was about half an hour after Su Mu left. The iron door of the newsstand suddenly opened a tiny opening. He took the heart-shaped piece of paper in at once. At this moment, Su Mu has returned to her room. The clothes, masks, and hats he had before found a river outside and threw them away. After returning to the room, Su Mu finally breathed a sigh of relief. If nothing else happens, tomorrow, he probably won't be able to see Chen Bin. According to what was written in the diary, the method he used just now was an extremely secret way of contacting the pagan religion behind the human race. Only the higher-ups of the cult will know. The worshippers are a group of traitors from the human race who are not optimistic about the human race and attempt to gain powerful power and protect themselves by joining the alien race. Many of them are active behind the lines of the human race. He often assassinates some geniuses of the human race behind the human race or creates some troubles for all races. This is why Su Mu and his teachers ask them not to reveal their talents before. It's not like the human race has never thought about purging these pagan worshippers active in the rear. It's just that these pagan worshippers are human beings themselves, and it is extremely difficult to find them hidden behind the human race. Some have even been hidden for 10 or 20 years, and their ordinary lives are no different from ordinary people. It is quite difficult to purge. Lying in bed, Su Mu's mood was a little complicated. The first time he killed someone, even though he killed someone with the help of others, he still killed a future traitor to the human race. But the strange feeling in my heart lingers no matter what. This is probably why my future self doesn't reveal too much in the diary, right? Su Mu shook her head and smiled bitterly. In order not to let myself think too much, Su Mu forced herself to think about the contents of the diary. According to what the diary says, the next page will not be opened until tomorrow. Ah no, during the day, after I awaken my talent again. If nothing else happens, when he awakens again, he should awaken 2 talents. After thinking about it, Su Mu fell into a deep sleep. My talent will be awakened soon. Brother Mu, are you excited? Excited? There's nothing to be excited about. Su Mu yawned. Still familiar words. The school playground was lined with senior high school students. Everyone is waiting in line to awaken their talents. The only difference is, I didn't see Chen Bin with blonde hair today. Just when Su Mu and the others were waiting to awaken their talents. Their head teacher answered the phone anxiously and left the playground quickly. After a while, he returned to the playground with a solemn expression. All the students in class 5, please go back to class after awakening. I have something to say. I saw the head teacher's serious expression. The students in class 5 all started talking with some confusion. Brother Mu, what do you think Lao Ban is going to say? His expression doesn't look good. Li Shangdong approached Su Mu curiously. Su Mu shook her head when she heard this. I don't know, it's probably about talent, right? Of course he knew that 80% of it was related to Chen Bin, but he couldn't say it out loud. Soon, it was Su Mu's turn to wake up. Walking into the black sphere-like talent awakening machine again, Su Mu felt like she was in another world. Place your hands on top of the instrument. Next moment, 2 pieces of information appeared in his mind. X-level talent. Copy after death. SSS level talent. 12 hours of recovery after death. Success. Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. This time, He walked straight out of the talent awakening device without waiting for the person in charge of the device to call him. Li Xiongdong waited outside for a while. Then he and Li Xiongdong walked towards the direction of Class 5. When the two of them walked to the classroom, many people were already sitting in their seats. Everyone was talking about why the head teacher suddenly called them back to the office. Do you think Lao Ban wants to teach us some special physical refining techniques or breathing techniques? The physical refining techniques and breathing techniques in the school library are the most common. If Lao Ban can teach us just turn on a small stove. I've missed you too much. Since Lao Ban stays in the high school behind the human race to teach, his strength is probably only at the 7th or 8th level of a martial arts disciple. He doesn't have any good physical training or breathing techniques. I'm just fantasizing about it. In martial arts, besides talent, there are only a few factors that are most important to our strength. Body refining, breathing and martial arts. We are not yet warriors and can't learn martial arts. Body refining and breathing techniques are the only things we can strive for. If you really want better physical training and breathing techniques, it's best for your family to spend some money to buy some in the market. It's only a dozen or 200,000, but it's at least one level higher than what's in the school. We've gone astray. Aren't we discussing Lao Ban? I made a discovery. How to say, didn't you notice that Chen Bin didn't come when he awakened his talent today? Just chatting. The head teacher has already entered the classroom. Suddenly the whole classroom fell silent. I saw the head teacher who walked into the classroom with a serious expression. He quickly glanced at the classmates in the classroom. After confirming that there are no shortage of people. Then he said, "Classmates, next, I want to say something very sad. Just now, I received news that Chen Bin, a classmate of our class, was attacked by a cultist in the early hours of this morning and unfortunately passed away." The head teacher's voice just finished. The students below couldn't help but started talking. The boys were more shocked. Girls, on the other hand, are inevitably a little sad. The class teacher had already anticipated the students' reaction. He didn't stop everyone immediately, but waited for a while. Then he said, "Okay, everyone, please be quiet. Everyone is very sorry about what happened to Chen Bin, but it is still a pity. You can't chase the past, but you can still learn from the future. What I want to tell you is that in addition to always being vigilant against the various races that may attack us at any time, you must also always be vigilant about the traitors hiding within our human race. Traitors. Protect yourself so that you can contribute to the human race and not make your family and friends sad. Of course, the most important thing is to improve your strength as soon as possible. Only if you have enough strength, then those mobs hiding in the dark will not be able to harm you. After I go back today, if I have the conditions, I can ask my family to help me buy the physical refining techniques and breathing techniques that suit me. If I don't have the conditions, I can also practice the physical refining techniques and breathing techniques in the school library. In addition, the blood food is also available. Be prepared. Everyone is working hard to improve their strength. During these 6 months, the school will try its best to help everyone. Each person will receive a subsidy of 1,000 yuan from the school every month. Although it is not much, it can still meet the minimum requirement. Blood food demands. In addition, the school has also set up scholarships. Everyone's cultivation progress will be tested every month. Based on performance, a first-class scholarship of 30,000 yuan, a second-class scholarship of 20,000 yuan, and a third-class scholarship of 10,000 yuan will be awarded. A one-time special scholarship of 100,000 yuan is used to reward particularly outstanding students. Everyone, I hope you will remember that some suggestions for everyone to pay attention to safety can only help you reduce the possibility of encountering danger. The only thing that can really help you is your own strength. Okay, that's it for now. Finally, I would like to remind everyone that tomorrow everyone will have their first qi and blood value test, so don't be late." Finished speaking. The head teacher did not stay too much in the classroom. Walk out of the classroom quickly. As soon as he left, the whole classroom exploded. Chen Bin is dead. Although Chen Bin was not very popular in the class and there were only a few people who played well with him, he was still a classmate who got along day and night. It was inevitable that he would be a little sad to die like this at the hands of a pagan cult. The same goes for Su Mu. Although he killed Chen Bin with the help of pagan worshippers, Although, he knew that Chen Bin was a future traitor to the human race. But after all, he was only a senior in high school. Just a few days ago, his biggest dream was to get into a better university, buy a big house for his family, and lead his family to live a good life. But now, he was burdened with the important task of preventing the destruction of the human race, and even killed his classmates with the help of pagan worshippers. I'm afraid no one can understand his inner struggle. But he has no regrets. He clearly knew why his future self asked him to kill Chen Bin. It is true that Chen Bin is a future traitor to the human race, but there is a more important reason, and that is that Chen Bin has the same death reversion as him. If Chen Bin is not killed, it means that if Chen Bin betrays the human race in the future and learns of his existence, it will be possible to go back to the 12 hours before awakening his talent by going back. Then, he might be the one who dies. Only by killing Chen Bin, who has not yet awakened, and letting Chen Bin's timeline end here, can all future troubles be completely eliminated. Therefore, Chen Bin must die. Chen Bin's death, for Su Mu, was like throwing a stone into the water. Although there were ripples, it soon returned to calm. What Su Mu is more concerned about now is the content of the next page of the diary. Brother Mu, are you going to go online? He finally awakened his talent, relax. No, I'm in a hurry to get home, so I'm leaving first. As soon as I got home, I could smell the familiar aroma of meat. It seems that the time for Su Mu's return has been calculated, and Lu Yufan has stewed the meat early in the morning. He took a greedy sip. Su Mu didn't stay any longer. Instead, he quickly returned to his room. He took out the diary from under the bed, lay on the bed and read it. As he expected, after he successfully awakened 2 talents, the next page of the diary can be turned again. What surprised Su Mu was, on the next page of the journal, a small groove appeared, and inside the groove lay a black bug the size of a fingernail. Without paying too much attention to the black bug, Su Mu looked at the words in the diary. Congratulations, myself 10 years ago. When you see this sentence, it means that you have completed all the previous plans. Now you should have 2 talents in your body, and you no longer have to worry about anything. Believe me, next, it is you the rise of the martial arts path. Next, the most important thing for you is to prepare for the college entrance examination in 6 months. I must be admitted to Longjing Martial Arts University. Seeing that another one must appear, Su Mu has become somewhat accustomed to it. He continued to look down. Now, what he wanted to know even more was what the hell this insect was. I believe you also saw the bug I put on this page. You should be grateful for how special this bug is. If it weren't for its specialness, I wouldn't be able to include it in this diary. This bug is a wise bug. You have too little experience now, so I'm afraid you don't know what an intelligent insect is, so I'll give you a brief introduction. The intelligent Zerg is an extremely magical race among all races. There is only one of them in each generation, and each one will awaken the same SSS level talent, the Book of Wisdom. And their clan's inheritance method relies on the same SSS level talent, the Book of Wisdom. The Book of Wisdom awakened by each generation of intelligent Zerg will contain the memories accumulated in the Book of Wisdom of each previous generation of intelligent Zerg. Owning an intelligent Zerg is equivalent to possessing the wisdom of the intelligent Zerg that has been passed down for who knows how many years, memory. It can be said that the reason why Wanzu was able to analyze and gain insight into what talents the human race has awakened is, in the final analysis, because of the help of the intelligent Zerg. Its Book of Wisdom contains almost all the talents that Wanzu and the human race have awakened in the past countless years. Quote, this wisdom insect was obtained by the human race after losing countless powerful people. I've introduced so much, I believe you can guess what I mean. That's right, I sent it here just so you can get the Book of Wisdom from the intelligent Zerg. The intelligent Zerg originally had no attack power, but after I got this intelligent Zerg, I cultivated it for a long time. Now, when it bites, it will release a chronic poison. If no treatment is applied, the person bitten by it will die within 12 hours. In addition, I also have the gift of the Book of Wisdom. Some modifications and restrictions have been made, some information can be known only after reaching a certain level of strength, and all memories of the battle between the human race and all races in the next 10 years have been deleted. Some things can only be changed if you don't know. Love my transformation. By the way, After you obtain the Book of Wisdom, you can kill this wisdom insect. You can use its body to make some potions to improve your own strength. Next time, wait until you are admitted to Longjing Martial Arts University. Let's open this diary again. After reading the words in the diary, Su Mu held the insect in her hand. From the outside, this intelligent insect is no different from an ordinary insect. According to what is said in the diary, Su Mu directly pinched the wisdom insect and pressed its front giant jaw against her skin. It seems to be due to training. The wisdom bug bit directly on Su Mu's skin. A numbing feeling came from the wound. After biting, Su Mu found a transparent box and put the intelligent insect in it. Next, it was a matter of 12 hours of waiting. When Su Mu opened her eyes again, I just feel a splitting headache. In his hand, he still held the wisdom bug that had just bitten him. And inside his mind, there was also an extra piece of information successfully added. SSS level talent, Book of Wisdom. Book of Wisdom. It has the ability to identify, analyze, store and search, optimize and simplify. It can store all memories in the Book of Wisdom and pass it on to the next generation through the power of blood. That is, after this information appeared. In Su Mu's mind, a mechanical voice suddenly sounded. Ding, super intelligent brain Deep Blue is here to serve you wholeheartedly. What the hell? Hearing that mechanical voice, Su Mu frowned. Then, he suddenly thought that in the diary, his future self said that he had made certain changes to the Book of Wisdom, and he also said that he would definitely like his changes. Could it be that this is his transformation? What are your abilities? Deep Blue was born out of the SSS level talent Book of Wisdom. It also has countless years of memories of the intelligent Zerg and countless human data that were later stored, which can help you better use the Book of Wisdom. Next, let me give you a brief introduction to my abilities. 1. Identification and analysis. Deep Blue stores nearly all the databases of the 10,000 races and human races, which can help you identify the talents of 10,000 races and human races, the categories of 10,000 races, various natural materials, treasures, weapons and items. You can see Deep Blue the author as an almost omniscient guide to all things. 2. Optimization and simplification. Based on the huge database owned by Deep Blue and the talent of the Book of Wisdom itself, Deep Blue can help you correct your movements during practice and optimize your practice methods based on your body data at different periods, optimize your martial arts and fighting methods, and more. 3. Interface display. This function was added later. Based on the fact that Deep Blue is a super intelligent brain that was transformed later, Deep Blue can use the simplest digital display method to display your body data, prompt you to copy your talents, and help you better training and so on. After listening to Shenlin's introduction, Su Mu's mouth was so open that it was almost dislocated. Isn't this dark blue the golden finger system that he has seen in novels? My future self has directly turned the talent of Book of Wisdom into a system. After being shocked, Su Mu became more and more curious about her future self. What role will my future self play in the future, and what magical abilities will I possess? Not only can you get intelligent insects, but you can also modify the talents of intelligent insects. But anyway, as my future self said, I really like this transformation of his. Name, Su Mu. Chi and blood value, 0.72. The average value of ordinary people before practicing is 0.6. Physical refining technique, none. Breathing method, none. Martial skills, none. Talent, X level. Copy after death, SSS level. 12 hours of recovery after death, Book of Wisdom. A light blue interface appeared in front of Su Mu's eyes. This is the character panel that Deep Blue generated for him based on his body data. Of course, Deep Blue's capabilities go far beyond that. Deep Blue, find me the physical training and breathing techniques that suit me. Ding, we are searching for you. Ding, a large amount of data has been searched and is being screened for you based on your physical condition and awakening talent. Ding, screening is in progress. Ding, screening successful. After testing, the most suitable body refining techniques for you at present are the 10,000 races body refining technique and innate fetal breathing technique. The body refining technique of 10,000 races, created by a strong person from a certain race, it is a supreme body refining technique that is understood based on the cultivation methods of all races. Depending on personal circumstances, at different stages, you can choose to simulate different races of the 10,000 races. Race, practice, so as to achieve the effect of gathering the strengths of all races and surpassing all races. Innate fetal breathing method. Created by a strong man from a certain tribe, it is a supreme breathing method created based on the most primitive innate natural state of all things. When you inhale, all the meridians are closed. When you exhale, all the meridians are opened, and the breath comes and goes. All the meridians are open, the chi and blood are smooth, then you can achieve the unity of heaven and man, and the natural state of Taoism. Long-term practice can not only improve your understanding, but also can greatly improve your martial arts realm by practicing together with physical training and martial arts. According to Deep Blue's analysis of your body data, before you step into the first realm of warriors, you should first practice the Great Ape Clan chapter, the Golden Rock Clan chapter, and the Vajra Ox Clan chapter of the 10,000 Races body refining technique. A large amount of information was listed in front of Su Mu. Based on information provided by Deep Blue, the 10,000 Races body refining technique and innate fetus breathing technique it provides are the most advanced in body refining techniques and breathing techniques. Moreover, Su Mu's current physical condition is most suitable for his physical training and breathing techniques. This is the power of the Book of Wisdom after being transformed by your future self. Possessing a certain amount of intelligence, combined with the huge information base, if used well, can provide huge help to Su Mu's martial arts journey. Rested for a while, Su Mu carefully put away the body of the intelligent insect. When he returned, he had already killed the intelligent insect. After all, he is from a foreign race. If he is allowed to live and is discovered by people from all races, it will only cause more trouble. Moreover, its corpse can be used to make some potions in the future to increase chi and blood. Fortunately, this intelligent insect's lifelong ability lies in its talent. Otherwise, Su Mu hasn't officially started practicing yet, and I don't know if I can kill it. But my future self must have already considered this. After placing the body of the intelligent insect in the diary, Su Mu began to practice the heavenly embryo breathing technique and the 10,000 Races body refining technique. The innate fetal breath method was okay, although it took Su Mu some time. However, under Shenlin's guidance, he successfully mastered this powerful breathing method. Just the first time she used this innate fetal breath method to breathe, Su Mu could feel that her head was clear, and everything around her seemed to suddenly become clear. The practice of the 10,000 Races body refining technique is not that simple. This 10,000 Races body refining technique is not simply a body refining technique created to imitate a certain race among the 10,000 races, nor is it a body refining technique that combines all races of the 10,000 races. It belongs to the kind of body refining technique created by learning the strengths of each race among all races at different stages and according to the different situations of different people. Su Mu is now an ordinary person who has just embarked on martial arts. According to Shenlin's recommendation, before being a first-level warrior, and based on his physical condition, the most suitable ones for him are the Great Ape Clan chapter, the Golden Rock Clan chapter and the Vajra Ox chapter among the 10,000 races of body refining techniques. The strength of the powerful ape tribe can be said to be at the forefront among all races, especially at the stage of first-level warriors. The Jinpeng clan is famous for its speed among all clans. The most powerful thing about the last Vajra Ox clan is the physique of its newborns, which is one of the best among all clans. The combination of the strengths of the three races is bound to lay an extremely solid foundation for Su Mu in front of first-level warriors. However, it is also quite difficult when practicing. Just in the chapter on the powerful ape clan, Su Mu has already practiced and grinned. After practicing all three chapters of the 10,000 Races body refining technique, Su Mu was already lying on the ground panting heavily, and even the innate fetal breath method could no longer function. He was lying on the ground as if paralyzed from exhaustion, recovering his strength. Suddenly the voice of his younger brother Su Yang came from outside. "Brother, let's go out to eat." "Oh, here it comes. I don't know if it's because it's my first time practicing." At this moment, Su Mu felt a strong sense of hunger coming from all parts of her body. He struggled to get up from the ground. He grabbed the towel next to him and wiped his sweat. Based on his current situation, I'm afraid it's unrealistic to practice a second time. Now, he just wants to eat something quickly and then have a good sleep. Come to the dinner table. Look at the steaming food. Su Mu couldn't bear it any longer, and suddenly turned into a hungry ghost, quickly finishing off the large pot of black pig meat in front of her like a whirlwind. The terrifying eating speed made everyone in Su Dashan's eyes widen. Brother, you. Su Yang's little face was full of shock. And Su Mu was surprised by her appetite after finishing most of the food on the table. You know, this time he came back in order to obtain the talent of the intelligent insect. The last time he ate, he could only eat less than 1/10 of what he eats now. At that time, his mother Lu Yufan also lamented that she was not sure about the amount and overcooked the first time. But now, because of practicing the 10,000 races body refining technique and the innate fetal breathing technique, Su Mu's food intake has increased more than 10 times compared to before. What's even more frightening is that even after eating so much, Su Mu still feels hungry. Grr, the sound from her stomach made Su Mu blush. Su Yang's eyes widened. Brother, don't tell me, you haven't had enough yet. Su Dashan reacted immediately and looked at Lu Yufan who was standing aside. Do you still have black pig meat? Hurry up and cook some more for more. The more Moore eats, the more meat he will eat. The more it shows, the greater the improvement in qi and blood. There's still a little bit, but it's not much. I don't know if it's enough for Moore to eat. Lu Yufan quickly put down her chopsticks, stood up, and walked to the kitchen. I'll buy it. Su Dashan quickly grabbed his old wallet. Where do you put your passbook? I'll stop by the bank to withdraw some money. Watching my parents busy, Su Mu only felt a warm current rushing into her heart. He clenched his fists and secretly vowed to practice hard. Live a good life with your parents and Xiaoyang. We must prevent the destruction of the human race. Name: Su Mu. Vitality value: 4.13. Not yet a martial artist. Physical refining technique: the body refining technique of 10,000 races, the Great Ape Clan Chapter, the Golden Rock Clan Chapter, and the Vajra Ox Clan Chapter. Breathing method: innate fetal breathing method. Martial skills: none. Talent: X level. Copy after death, SSS level. 12 hours of recovery after death, Book of Wisdom. 4.13. Just after practicing the 10,000 races body refining technique once, Su Mu's health value suddenly jumped from 0.72 to 4.13. It has improved by more than 3 points. Although it may be because it is the first time to practice, the improvement is relatively large, but it is enough to prove the power of this 10,000 races body refining technique. Ha, Brother Mu, did you practice yesterday? I practiced for the first time last night, but I was exhausted. My desk mate Li Shangdong excitedly approached Su Mu and said. Su Mu heard this and nodded in agreement. Indeed. The feeling of tiredness from yesterday was still fresh in his memory. Coupled with the fact that he had just backtracked yesterday, he was mentally and physically exhausted. As soon as he finished eating last night, he immediately went back to his room to sleep. When I woke up this morning, I barely recovered. But one thing to say, although I am still a little tired mentally, I feel physically full of energy. Like Li Shangdong, most of the students in the class were excitedly talking about their first practice experience yesterday. While everyone was discussing, the head teacher with a Mediterranean hair finally walked into the classroom. Classmates. He glanced at the students in the class, seemingly checking the number of people in the class. After confirming that there were no fewer people in the class teacher Zhang Heliu nodded. Before taking you to the first test, I want to take you to a place first. Everyone, please prepare. The school bus is already at the school gate. Zhang Heliu's words made all the students present become curious. Under the leadership of Zhang Heliu, the students from class 5 lined up in 2 teams and arrived at the school gate. At this time, several school buses had stopped at the school gate, and students from other senior classes were lining up to get into the school buses. The students from class 5 also quickly entered the school bus. Su Mu chose a seat near the window. Looking at the gradually receding buildings outside the window, Su Mu recalled what she heard before going to bed last night. I don't know if it's because after practicing the 10,000 races body refining technique and the innate fetus breathing technique, my 5 senses have been enhanced. Although she was lying in her room, Su Mu could still clearly hear her parents talking in the living room. The child's father, black pork is really expensive now, 151 kilogram. According to Moore's appetite, he would have to eat at least 4 to 5,000 yuan a day. How good the food is. It shows that Moore's energy and blood have improved a lot. As long as my son can make a difference, I will be happy to sell iron and work as a beggar to support him. How much money is left at home? Totaling all the bits and pieces, there's about 50,000 yuan left. You don't have to worry about money. Tomorrow you go and withdraw 30,000 yuan and buy 2 pairs of blood supplements for Moore. The remaining money will be used to buy blood food. This period is a critical period for Moore. Even if let's tighten our belts and not make our children suffer. Well, I'll go there tomorrow to see if there's any craftsmanship place. ... Short of money. Su Mu frowned slightly. Poor literature and rich martial arts have never been just words. For warriors, the improvement of qi and blood in the early stage depends largely on blood food and qi and blood medicines. Don't say anything else. Just say Su Mu herself. If he takes enough blood food and qi and blood medicines on weekdays. So yesterday, when I practiced the 10,000 races body refining technique and the innate fetal breathing technique, it was not impossible to directly increase the vitality value by 10 points and directly step into the first level of martial arts. We have to find a way to make money. Su Mu's eyes narrowed slightly, wondering what she was thinking about. The school bus quickly arrived at their destination. After getting off the bus, all the students realized that the place Lao Ban took them to today was the Human Martyrs Cemetery located in their third safety zone. There are 197 safe zones in the rear of the human race, 56 of which belong to Daxia. In every safe zone in Daxia, a cemetery for human martyrs will be established. The purpose is to allow everyone in the safe zone to know the heroic deeds of these martyrs who dedicated themselves to the human race. The Martyrs Cemetery is an open-air mountain. The mountain is shaped like a staircase, and on each level, there are the tombstones of countless martyrs. The heroic deeds of these human martyrs are engraved on the tombstones. In front of some tombstones, the families of these martyrs were burning paper and flowers to pay homage to their dead family members. Everyone, please be serious. This was the first thing Lao Ban said after all the students got off the school bus. Not just him, almost every class teacher will warn all students to stay serious after they get off the bus. But everyone basically knows where this place is. Therefore, everyone put away their smiling faces very wisely and followed the team seriously. Today, I brought you here because I hope you can take a good look. The reason why we can study and study safely behind the human race is because of these heroes who heroically sacrifice themselves on the battlefield of all races. Zhang Heliu looked at the students below seriously. And in the near future, some of you will most likely appear here. This is the fate and the highest honor for everyone who embarks on the martial arts. I hope that each of you can understand the meaning of embarking on the martial arts. If it were a peaceful era, teacher, I would not ask you for anything. The purpose of embarking on the martial arts can be to strengthen your body or become stronger, but today in this era, the only pursuit of every human race when embarking on the martial arts is to fight against all races. Quote. Because, behind you are your family and your friends. Having said this, Zhang Heliu paused and glanced at the tombstones scattered all over the mountains and plains with some emotion. After taking care of your class, your teacher, I will also return to the battlefield of all races. I hope that one day in the future, you guys will have the opportunity to send me a few bouquets of flowers and burn a few bundles of paper money. Okay, I won't say any more. The content of this morning is to pay tribute to the deeds of these martyrs. At 11 o'clock at noon, gather in front of the school bus. After lunch, your first meeting will officially begin. Second blood test. Now, free to move. By the way, one last reminder. Don't forget where this is. This is not a school, not a playground for you to play. If I find someone who behaves disrespectfully towards these martyrs, don't blame me for being rude. After saying that, Zhang Heliu waved his hand. The classmates also dispersed. At this time, Li Shangdong decisively came to Su Mu and sighed. Brother Mu, did you just hear that? Lao Ban said that after he finishes leading our class, he will return to the battlefield of all races. Hey, Lao Ban is also true, it would be great to stay at the rear and be a teacher. Hasn't he already been to the battlefield of all races once? Obviously he doesn't need to go again. With his strength, if he goes up again, wouldn't it be to die? Although everyone makes all kinds of complaints about Lao Ban on weekdays. But now that I heard Lao Ban say that he wanted to return to the battlefield, I felt more or less disappointed for a moment. The same is naturally true for Li Shangdong. Su Mu glanced at him. Although he didn't agree with Lao Ban's behavior, he could understand it. It is precisely because of people like Lao Ban that the human race can fight against all races. Su Mu said. After listening to Su Mu's words, Li Shangdong also sighed, and then thought of something, and said, Brother Mu, do you think it is possible for us to meet Lao Ban on the battlefield? You may not be able to hold a higher position than him by then. It's too high. If that's the case, I'm afraid Lao Ban will have to rely on me to protect him. Su Mu shrugged upon hearing this. You are quite thoughtful. Okay, don't forget the purpose of this trip. I'll go over there and have a look. He patted Li Shangdong on the shoulder. Su Mu began to see the deeds of these martyrs on the tombstones. Ji Yu Chengwei, a soldier and martyr from the 7th team of the Western Theater of the 10,000 Clans battlefield. In the 1073rd year of the martial arts calendar, the Black-Winged Eagle clan sneaked into the 33rd base of the Western Theater. Ji Yu Chengwei was the first to discover it. After resisting desperately for nearly 3 minutes, he passed self-destruction, spreading the news of the enemy attack. Fang Hao, captain of the 5th team in the Western Theater of 10,000 Races battlefield, is a martyr. In the 1087th year of the martial arts calendar, he and the members of the 5th team encountered the Netherworld Cat clan. They fought bloody battles for 3 days and 3 nights, but were helplessly captured. In order to avoid the aliens used him to get information. With only one right hand in his body that could move, he put his hand into the wound in his abdomen, endured the severe pain and tore out his intestines and died heroically. Li Heading, the Western Theater of 10,000 Races battlefield. Seeing the deeds of each martyr made Su Mu's scalp feel numb. Occasionally, the cries and howls of some martyrs' families can be heard in my ears. After taking only 2 steps, a wave of heat suddenly hit me. It was the fire wave of burning paper that was blown into his face by the wind. He took a few steps back. Looking at the wave of fire that seemed to be coming towards me, I didn't feel scared. Instead, he suddenly remembered something his teacher said in class. When the wind takes shape, it means that old friends are reluctant to leave. Are these martyrs reluctant to leave? Su Mu clenched his fists. Everyone should line up and stand in line according to their student numbers. Next, start testing the blood and vitality levels. After lunch, Lao Ban took the students from Class 5 to the school's training hall for gas and blood testing. Other classes in the senior year of high school were also tested. In front of each class there is an instrument to detect blood and vitality levels. Everyone must have practiced physical training and breathing techniques for the first time yesterday. However, this is only your first step into martial arts. In the next 6 months, you must practice as much as possible. Improve your blood value. According to last year's admission criteria, only those with a vitality value of 20 or above, that is, the 2nd level of martial arts, can reach the undergraduate level and enter the 2nd martial arts university. Only when the blood value is above 40 can you reach the minimum admission score of a martial arts university. Only when the vitality value is above 70 can one reach the minimum admission score of a top martial arts university. So, don't slack off. You still have a long way to go. Zhang Heliu briefly told them about last year's admission scores. Listening to the dozens and tens of scores, each student had a different look on his face. And that's about the time. The people in front have already started to test their blood and vitality levels. Su Mu's student number is in the middle. Although he was waiting to test his vitality and blood levels, Su Mu was not idle. His eyes fell on the classmates in front of him. The classmates who fall into his sight will also have a light blue character interface generated next to them. Name: Wang Jun. Qi and blood value: 0.63. The average value of ordinary people before practicing is 0.6. Physical refining technique: mass refining technique. Breathing method: breathing method for civilians. Martial skills: none. Talent: to be analyzed. Name: Yi Weikong. Qi and blood value: 0.73. The average value of ordinary people before practicing is 0.6. Physical refining technique: Black pig physical refining technique. Breathing technique. White bird breathing technique. Martial skills. None. Talent. To be analyzed. Name. Ding Ziyang. Qi and blood value. 0.63. The average value of ordinary people before practicing is 0.6. Physical refining technique. Mass refining technique. Breathing method. Breathing method for civilians. Martial skills. None. Talent. To be analyzed. After being analyzed and identified by Deep Blue, a personal body data was turned into a character interface and displayed in front of Su Mu. For example, the blood value and the breathing techniques of body refining that you have practiced, these can all be analyzed based on your normal behavior and breathing judgment. For some highly skilled people, they can see a person's qi and blood value and the body refining breathing method with the naked eye without even using qi and blood testing equipment. Deep Blue has been transformed by its future self, and has the talent of the Book of Wisdom, which is almost an encyclopedia of human and all races, as a basis. It is quite easy to achieve this. But the talent aspect is different. For most people who have awakened their talents, it is difficult for ordinary people to know what your talents are as long as they do not use them. If you want to analyze a person's talent, you must have a large amount of behavioral data of the person as a reference, or you must see others using their talent with your own eyes. Only then can you accurately know what a person's talent is. The way Wanzu uses intelligent insects to analyze human talent is also obtained by searching a large amount of human battle data. Although Deep Blue has been transformed, it is still born out of the Book of Wisdom talent of the intelligent Zerg, so naturally it cannot escape this law. However, as long as Deep Blue is given enough time, Deep Blue can analyze the talents of almost any human race or people from all races. And, in a sense, Su Mu's Deep Blue can analyze more talents than the current intelligent Zerg of all races can analyze. Because Su Mu's wisdom bug came from 10 years later. 10 years is neither long nor short. At least as long as the intelligent Zerg over there from Wanzu can analyze anything, Su Mu's Deep Blue can analyze it. But what Deep Blue can analyze, that intelligent Zerg may not be able to analyze. He was looking around at all the classmates present. Deep Blue's analytical ability makes it a bit novel for Su Mu, who is using it for the first time. He enjoyed looking at the physical data of his classmates walking around in the testing hall. As far as he's concerned, there seemed to be very few people with a health value above 0.8. The only one with the highest health value was only 0.91, and it was Fang Ling, the beauty of their class. Compared with his health value of 4.13, it was like heaven and earth. But this is normal. The high school where Su Mu is located is an ordinary high school in the 3rd security zone. Far from being top-notch, there are naturally very few talented people. If you are in a top high school, it is estimated that there will be geniuses with a vitality value of 1 or above. However, I don't know how Lao Ban would react if he knew that his blood value was 4.13. Just thinking about it, the door of the training hall was suddenly kicked open. The loud noise startled all the students who were checking their vitality and blood levels in the training hall. Next moment, then more than 20 people wearing Night Walker clothes quickly surrounded the entire training hall. The Night Walkers are the law enforcement officers in the rear of the human race. He is mainly responsible for dealing with the remaining pagan cults in the rear of the human race and some villains who have evil thoughts and commit crimes and troubles because they have embarked on martial arts. But, why did Night Walker appear in the training hall? Su Mu looked at the night traveler who suddenly appeared in the training hall, frowned slightly, and felt a little uneasy in her heart. Quiet everyone. A ponytailed woman wearing Nightwalker clothes walked into the training hall. The ponytail woman has fair skin and beautiful appearance. As soon as she appears, she seems to have her own lights. Her pair of slender thighs immediately attracted the attention of many male classmates. Su Mu also looked carefully at the ponytailed woman in front of her. The next moment, the character panel of the ponytail woman also appeared in front of him. Name, unknown. Vitality value, 35,482.57, middle stage of the Three Realms warrior. Physical refining technique, Xuanian physical refining technique. Breathing method, Tianian water breathing technique. Talent, to be analyzed. More than 30,000 blood points. The middle stage of the Three Realms warriors. This is the strongest person Su Mu has ever seen since she was a child. Originally, Su Mu was just curious about the ponytail woman's good looks, so she used dark blue to test the woman's body data. Unexpectedly, the strength of this ponytail woman shocked him the most. Brother Mu, this night traveler sister is so beautiful. It would be great if I could take her home as my wife. Li Shangdong came to Su Mu's side at some point and sighed. Su Mu glanced at him and said, "You want to marry her home? If you two quarrel, she can beat the shit out of you." Li Shangdong's chrysanthemums tightened when he heard this. "Really or not, Brother Mu, don't scare me, this night walker's sister doesn't look like such a violent person." Su Mu shook his head. "I don't know if it's violent or not, but strong is really strong." At this time, the ponytail woman finally spoke. "Dear students, I'm sorry to bother you. I am Sha Ru, captain of the first team of the night walkers in the 3rd security zone. I now suspect that there is a seriously injured and fleeing heretic among you. Therefore, I hope you will cooperate with us in arresting him." Chapter 11. Sha Ru's words made everyone in the training ground feel a little panicked. Pagan worship. There is no one in the back of the human race who does not know the meaning of these 3 words. They are the borers of the human race and the poisonous snakes hiding behind the human race. But for newcomers like them who have just stepped into martial arts, worshipping paganism is also a gap that they cannot cross at present. It seemed that he was aware of the emotions of everyone present. Sha Ru reassured, "Don't worry, everyone, we will do our best to protect everyone's safety. Now, please everyone, please leave the training hall in order, line up one by one, don't mess up, lest the heretics can take advantage of it." Machine. At this time, teachers from more than a dozen classes also stood up. "Everyone, please line up in line according to what you learned in class before. Don't worry, the night walkers will protect us." 18 years before the awakening of talent, everyone naturally learned some safety courses on how to evacuate and escape from people who worshipped pagans. So after hearing what the teachers said, the remaining students started to take action. They lined up in order and prepared to leave the training hall. The students in Su Mu's team also followed the class teacher Zhang Heliu. One by one, they were inspected by night walkers and left the training hall. "Brother Mu, this is the first time I encounter this kind of scene. Why do I feel so excited?" Li Shangdong followed Su Mu, seemingly restless. He has always been a talkative person, and many students in the class found him annoying. Only Su Mu was willing to take the trouble to listen to him and occasionally respond to him. So during the 3 years of high school, he has been clinging to Su Mu. Although Su Mu didn't want to admit it, she had to admit that during her 3 years of high school, her best friend was Li Shangdong. "You are really not afraid of death. People who worship paganism are cruel and ruthless, and they are not joking with you." Li Shangdong chuckled. "What are you afraid of? Sister Yi Xingren and the others are here. When I become stronger, I must kill all these human worms who worship paganism." Su Mu smiled and said, "Then it seems that your goal in the future is not to go to the frontline battlefield, but to return to the rear of the human race and join the night walkers." "I haven't thought about it yet, Brother Mu, what do you think?" Li Shangdong looked at Su Mu. Su Mu said, "Of course, go to the front line. As long as all races are immortalized, paganism will never completely disappear. Only going to the front line is the only way to cure it, and only to solve all races, our human race, only then can we usher in true peace." Li Shangdong's eyes lit up when he heard this. "Brother Mu, what you said makes sense. Then I will go to the front line too." While the two were chatting, the queue was almost reaching Su Mu. Just at this time, not far away, Sha Ru's expression suddenly changed. "Careful," the sound accompanying Sha Ru just sounded. Su Mu suddenly felt wet on her face. Li Shangdong, who had just spoken into his ear, spit out a mouthful of blood. In Su Mu's sight, the tip of a black war blade penetrated Li Shangdong's chest. His face, which was smiling just a second ago, suddenly turned pale. "Mu, Brother Mu." Behind Li Shangdong, a thin, middle-aged man with a scar was smiling ferociously. I'm afraid you won't be able to go to the front line." He pulled out the black war blade from Li Shangdong's chest. Then he gave Su Mu a cold look. Then he ignored Su Mu and grabbed Fang Ling, who was not far away. He placed the war blade in his hand on Fang Ling's snow-white neck. A A sudden scene. The students around him suddenly screamed. He quickly moved away from the direction of the scarred middle-aged man. The middle-aged Scar didn't care about those classmates who stayed away. Instead, he stared closely at Sha Ru, who had rushed to him not far away and was holding a silver war blade. If he hadn't caught Fang Ling in time just now, I'm afraid Sha Ru's war blade has already struck him. Li Feng, let her go. Sha Ru's eyes quickly glanced at Li Shangdong, who was gradually losing his life on the ground, and then looked coldly at the middle-aged Scar. Tisk, 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 Captain Sha, do you think I'm stupid? If you let her go, wouldn't it be me who dies? The middle-aged Scar's face was a little pale, and he looked at Fang Ling in front of him with some pride. What a good prospect, Captain Sha. I just watched it for a while. This little girl's first blood test actually got 0.91. This qualification is considered good among some of the top high schools in the third security zone, right? In time, he must be at least a warrior of the third realm, or even a fourth realm. For such a talent, don't you think it would be a pity if he died in my hands like this? My miserable life, in exchange for such a talent, it's considered decent enough. Sha Ru said coldly. Let her go, I can let you go. I just like smart people like you, Captain Sha. The middle-aged Scar laughed. Just as the middle-aged Scar and Sha Ru were confronting each other, Su Mu next to her was already kneeling in front of Li Shangdong's body. Who could imagine that a living person who said 1 second that I was going to the front line would become a corpse that gradually became colder the next second? Brother Mu, what's wrong with you today? I feel like you're not in the right state today. You've been in a daze. My talent will be awakened soon. Brother Mu, are you excited? Brother Mu, are you going to go online? He finally awakened his talent, relax. Brother Mu, did you practice yesterday? I practiced for the first time last night, but I was exhausted. Brother Mu, scenes from the past flashed in front of Su Mu like a revolving lantern. Don't worry, you won't die. Su Mu took a long breath. Then he stood up. His eyes fell on the middle-aged man with Scar not far away. At this moment, the middle-aged Scar was slowly walking towards the entrance of the training hall. In his hand, Fang Ling was still held hostage. Fang Ling, who was held hostage by him, had already turned pale with fear. The color of his lips was gone, and his eyes were full of helplessness and fear. Just at this time, Su Mu quickly rushed towards the middle-aged Scar. The middle-aged Scar had originally focused all his attention on Sha Ru. He never expected that a student would rush towards him. When Su Mu came to him, he could only react. Su Mu was about to bump into him. A trace of cruelty flashed across Scar's middle-aged face. You brat, you're looking for death. The war blade in his hand swiped across Su Mu's neck. The blood splashed directly on Fang Ling's pretty face. Su Mu, whose throat was cut, did not stop. Instead, she ran directly into the middle-aged Scar and threw herself on the middle-aged Scar. Before his consciousness dissipated, I vaguely saw a flash of white light. The middle-aged man with a scar covered his throat and slowly fell down. Su Mu, this classmate. Su Mu felt that her life force was passing away quickly. In front of his eyes, it gradually became dark. Ding, you have been killed by the cultist Li Feng. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the A-level talent makeover. A-level talent makeover. Makeover. Change your appearance, body shape, breath and blood fluctuations. With a piece of information pouring into my mind, Su Mu suddenly sat up from the bed. Who? Die again. Su Mu wiped the cold sweat from her forehead. Pick up the alarm clock and look at it. The time has now returned to the 12 hours before the Qi and blood test. At this time, Su Mu did not even visit the martyrs' cemetery. How to stop that guy and save Lao Li? Su Mu frowned slightly. He always remembered a sentence in the diary. Some things can only be changed if you don't know them. This sentence was left to him by his future self. He said this when explaining why his future self had to delete the memory in the Book of Wisdom about the battles between humans and all races in the past 10 years. However, this also sent a message to Su Mu. Sometimes, the more you know, the harder it is to change the future outcome. The reason why this happens is because the more you know, the more changes you make, and the greater the butterfly effect caused. In the end, it may lead to the outcome of being unable to change some things. Now, it is this problem that Su Mu has to face. If he wanted to change the outcome of Li Shangdong's death at the hands of the pagan worshipper Li Feng 12 hours later, then he will definitely not be able to make too many changes. If because of his changes, the pagan worshipper not only killed Li Shangdong, but also killed more classmates, then the gain would outweigh the loss. How to go about changing? Su Mu fell into deep thought. Everyone should line up and stand in line according to their student numbers. Next, start testing the blood and vitality levels. In the training hall, class teacher Zhang Heliu began to tell the students in class 5 about last year's admission scores. Su Mu, who had listened to it once, did not pay attention to Zhang Heliu. Instead, he began to secretly look at the people around him. Deep Blue, can you find out the location of the pagan worshipper? During these nearly 12 hours, Su Mu basically followed the original plot development except for making some preparations in the middle. As of now, everything seems to be developing exactly the same as last time. The order in which everyone tested their qi and blood values, the measured qi and blood values, and the walking trajectories of people around them, etc. Everything, under Su Mu's deliberate efforts, was basically the same as last time. And heard Su Mu's inner inquiry. Deep Blue also gave the answer immediately. Yes, Master, I can determine who is a pagan hidden among my classmates by analyzing other people's expressions and behaviors. The position of the pagan worshipper is the third one in front of you. He has used the A-level talent, transformation to become your classmate Zhang Jun, hiding in the team. Last time, Su Mu thought that there were nocturnal people around, so she didn't need to worry about the pagan worshippers. But Li Shangdong's death made him clearly understand that it was still too difficult to protect himself just by relying on the power of Night Walker. The strength of the worshippers is much stronger than that of newcomers like them who have just entered the martial arts. A casual blow may be a fatal blow to them. Deep Blue, could you remind me at that moment when the heretic worshipper took action? Yes, Master, Shenlin responded affirmatively. Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. If this is the case, then there should be no problem with his plan. Quiet everyone. The same scene, the same words, the same ponytail woman. Soon, the students in the training hall began to line up for inspection as before, and then left the training hall one by one. Brother Mu, this is the first time I encounter this kind of scene. Why do I feel so excited? Not surprisingly, Li Shangdong said the same words as last time. Hearing this, Su Mu couldn't help but shook her head helplessly. I complained in my heart, I'm still excited. If it weren't for me, you would have sent it later. But he said, Lao Li, let me change places with you. Ah, Brother Mu, everyone is eager to get tested and get out as soon as possible, so you still want to change with me. Li Shangdong was ranked behind Su Mu. Seeing Su Mu making such a request, he couldn't help but be curious. Stop talking nonsense. Su Mu pulled Li Shangdong in front of her. Then he continued what Li Shangdong said just now. You are really not afraid of death. People who worship paganism are cruel and ruthless, and they are not joking with you. Li Shangdong still smiled like last time. What are you afraid of? Sister Night Walker and the others are here. When I become stronger, I must kill all these human worms who worship paganism. Su Mu said. Then it seems that your goal in the future is not to go to the frontline battlefield, but to return to the rear of the human race and join the Night Walkers. I haven't thought about it yet, Brother Mu, what do you think? Li Shangdong looked at Su Mu. Su Mu said, of course, go to the front line. As long as all races are immortalized, paganism will never completely disappear. Only going to the front line is the only way to cure it, and only to solve all races, our human race, only then can we usher in true peace. Li Shangdong's eyes lit up when he heard this. Brother Mu, what you said makes sense. Then I will go to the front line too. Just after Li Shangdong said this, a deep blue voice also sounded in Su Mu's mind. Master, rush forward, he is about to attack. After hearing Shenlin's words, Su Mu grabbed Li Shangdong and rushed forward without hesitation. At the same time, in my ears, Sharu's voice also sounded instantly, be careful. There was a slight pain behind him. Su Mu could feel that her back should have been scratched by the war blade of the pagan worshipper. But that's all. He and Li Shangdong fell to the ground. The moment Su Mu fell down, she quickly turned over. The scarred middle-aged man looked at Su Mu, who escaped from his hands in disbelief. He glared at Su Mu fiercely. The middle-aged scar did not launch a second attack. Instead, he quickly retreated and grabbed Fang Ling on the side. At this time, Sha Ru had already stood in front of Su Mu and others with a war blade in hand. Li Feng, let her go. Sha Ru stared closely at the scarred middle-aged man who held Fang Ling hostage. Tisk, 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 Captain Sha, do you think I'm stupid? If you let her go, wouldn't it be me who dies? The same words came from the mouth of the middle-aged scar. Fang Ling in his arms was so frightened that he almost cried, and his pretty face suddenly turned pale. Just at this time, Su Mu spoke. Uncle, let's talk about it. How about exchanging me for the girl in your hand? He stood up slowly, and his voice was particularly clear in the huge training hall. As soon as Su Mu's words came out, not only the middle-aged scar and Fang Ling in his arms, but also Sha Ru looked at him in surprise. Su Mu said unhurriedly, Uncle, you are holding her hostage simply because she belongs to the person with the highest qi and blood value so far, and is of the highest value. Captain Sha is the easiest to compromise. At the same time, if you really escape, if you don't go out, killing a person with good qualifications is enough, isn't it? Seeing Su Mu speak out his thoughts accurately, the middle-aged scar was also a little surprised, but he still sneered, so what if you know? In this case, exchanging me for the girl in your hand should be a better choice. With your current physical strength, you can only hold one person hostage, so shouldn't you hold the most valuable person hostage? As he spoke, the middle-aged scar and Sha Ru looked at him. Su Mu quickly came to the qi and blood test equipment. He grabbed the disposable blood needle next to him, took a drop of his own blood, and dropped it into the qi and blood test instrument. The next moment, the qi and blood testing instrument made a mechanical sound. Su Mu even made the sound louder to ensure that the entire training hall could hear the sound. Vitality value, 4.13 inches. As soon as this value comes out, suddenly the entire training hall fell silent. 4.13. What a concept. All the students present had just awakened their talents yesterday and entered martial arts. The initial values are mostly between 0.6 and 0.8. After practicing for the first time, everyone will have extraordinary improvement. However, this improvement is mostly between 0.1 and 0.3. Those who can improve to 0.91 are considered good among this group of students. Even in top high schools, the improvement is only between 0.4 and 0.8. Those who can increase their health value by 1 point are rare top talents in top high schools. But, 4.13, what a concept, even if it is a top high school. No, even if you look at the entire human race, you can definitely be called a top peerless genius. If Su Mu continues to maintain this momentum and improve, it will almost be a sure thing to become the top powerhouse of the human race in the future. Uncle, tell me, holding me hostage is more valuable than holding the girl in your hands hostage. Su Mu's words made everyone who was still in shock suddenly wake up. This classmate, no. The first person to react was Sha Ru. As the captain of the Nightwalker team, a genius like Su Mu was definitely someone they should protect with all their strength. If a genius like Su Mu died at the hands of pagans, it would definitely be a huge loss to the human race. Sha Ru's reaction immediately made the middle-aged scar excited. Originally, he was worried about holding Fang Ling hostage, but he might not be able to coerce Sha Ru to let him go. But if it was the boy in front of him who he was threatening, no matter how much Sha Ru didn't want to, Sha Ru would definitely make a compromise for the sake of a peerless genius from the human race. Come here and I'll let her go. The middle-aged scar looked at Su Mu. I'm warning you, brat, you'd better not play any tricks, otherwise, I won't guarantee the safety of this girl. Don't worry, as long as you don't play tricks, I won't do any tricks. Su Mu said, slowly walking towards the middle-aged scar. Just when Scar was still a few steps away from reaching middle age, the middle-aged Scar suddenly pushed Fang Ling aside. Then he grabbed Su Mu's hand and pulled Su Mu into his arms, and directly placed the war blade on Su Mu's neck. However, I don't know if it's an illusion. At the moment of handover, he seemed to feel a little weak in his legs. You brat, There is a way to heaven but you don't take it. There is no door to hell and you break in. Now that you are in my hands, you can't escape. Seeing that he had really held Su Mu hostage, Scar's middle-aged face showed an uncontrollable smile. He looked proudly at Sha Ru who was not far away. Captain Sha, what are you going to do next? You don't need me to remind you, do you? Sha Ru stared closely at the middle-aged Scar. Li Feng, calm down, don't you just want to leave? In this way, as long as you let him go, I will personally arrange for someone to send you to the battlefield of all races, so that you can how about escaping to the land of all races? HMPH. Come on Les. From now on, everything will follow my arrangements. The middle-aged Scar had such a big treasure like Su Mu in his hands, and he became much tougher when he spoke. But at this time, he suddenly felt dizzy, and Su Mu was held hostage by him. A deep blue voice also sounded in my mind. Master, the cartilage incense has broken out. Hearing these words from Deep Blue, Su Mu pushed away the war blade in the middle-aged Scar's hand. Then he shouted, Captain Sha, do it. However, Su Mu doesn't even need to say it. He has been paying close attention to the middle-aged Sha Ru with Scar. The moment he saw Su Mu push away the sword in the middle-aged hand of Scar, he had already dodged and rushed in front of the middle-aged Scar. PFF'd. The white war blade in her hand flashed a cold light in the air. The next moment, the middle-aged Scar was seen clutching his throat and paralyzed to the ground. At this time, Su Mu also sat down on the ground as if she was exhausted. Don't look at how brave and fearless he looked just now. But every move was carefully planned by him and Shen Lan. So when executing, you must also concentrate. Now, all this is done. The tight string in Su Mu's head suddenly relaxed, and naturally she felt a little weak. Su Mu was quite nervous when she faced the villains who worshipped pagan religions for the first time. Although he can do this operation again even if he dies again, his mental power will be depleted every time he returns. This time is definitely the best compared to the previous time. If she had to go back a few times, Su Mu would not be able to guarantee that she would have enough mental energy to carry out the step-by-step plan. Just when Su Mu was resting, a pair of long legs wearing Nightwalker uniform pants appeared in front of Su Mu. Classmate, are you okay? It was Sha Ru who had just killed the pagan Li Feng. Sha Ru squatted down slightly, trying to pull Su Mu up. Then I seemed to smell something. Looking at Su Mu's eyes, there was a flash of light, as this cartilage Mixiong. No wonder his war blade was pushed away by you just now. Su Mu. Just when Su Mu was pulled up from the ground by Sha Ru, the surrounding classmates also gathered one after another. Seeing this, Sha Ru smiled slightly at Su Mu. I'll talk to you later. You can rest for a while now. After saying that, she turned to several night walkers and said, take this guy's body back. On Su Mu's side, she was surrounded by a group of classmates and was a little out of breath. Still, Fang Ling could see that Su Mu was feeling a little uncomfortable, and quickly said, everyone, spread out. Su Mu needs a good rest now. When Fang Ling called out, several teachers came over to maintain order. Brother Mu, from now on, if you ask me to go east, I will never go west. If it weren't for you, I would be cold. Li Shangdong came over at some point. He said with lingering fear. At that time, if Su Mu had not changed positions with him and thrown him to the ground in time, he would never have been able to avoid the attack of the pagan worshipper. Thinking about that scene, Li Shangdong felt a little scared. To a certain extent, Su Mu almost saved his life. Thinking of this, Li Shangdong looked at Su Mu more and more eagerly. Feeling Li Shangdong's gradually deteriorating gaze, Su Mu punched Li Shangdong on the shoulder, laughed and scolded, stop saying those nice words, just treat me to a big dinner tomorrow. Seeing Li Shangdong standing here alive now, Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. Su Mu, thank you. If it weren't for you just now, I wouldn't know what I would have done. It was Fang Ling who spoke. Her face looked much better now. Although her hair was a little messy, she was no longer as scared as before. She looked at Su Mu carefully, and after realizing that Su Mu was looking at her, she quickly lowered her head. Su Mu, is the injury on your back okay? She asked with concern. How about I help you bandage your wound? Su Mu waved her hands carelessly and said, it's okay, it's just a minor injury. For a martial artist, this minor injury is nothing. But you, aren't you scared? Hearing Su Emu's caring words, Fang Ling shook his head quickly. I'm fine. Thank you. I will definitely remember your kindness. Don't be so polite, we are all classmates. Su Mu smiled nonchalantly. Then something came to mind. He quickly found Sharu's location. Through the door of the training hall, he noticed that Sharu was talking to a group of school leaders outside. I have something to do, I'll talk to you later. After talking to Li Shangdong and Fang Ling, Su Mu quickly ran in the direction of Sharu. Sharu was originally discussing the follow-up plan for this matter with the school leaders. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Su Mu running in her direction. He said, I will report the specific matters to the superiors later. Just wait patiently for the notification. I believe it will not have a big impact on your school. Then let's stop talking here. With that said, she said goodbye to several school leaders and walked in the direction of Su Mu. What's wrong, classmate Su Mu? Sharu looked at the young man in front of her, who was only a few years younger than herself. It was hard to imagine that an 18-year-old newcomer who had just entered the martial arts could be so brave and resourceful. If it hadn't been for him, I'm afraid there might not have been 0 casualties in the arrest of the heretic. Captain Shaw, I noticed that the pagan worshipper just now turned into Zhongjun, our classmate. Hear what Su Mu said. Sharu smiled and looked at Su Mu with some admiration. It's rare that you are careful and noticed this detail. Don't worry, my team members have just found the unconscious classmate Zhongjun in the toilet. Are you unconscious? Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief, then became confused and was about to ask something. Sharu seemed to see his doubts and said, I'm very confused as to why the ruthless cultist just knocked your classmate unconscious, right? She pointed in one direction. Su Mu looked in the direction she pointed, and saw a few men in night clothes leading a few big black dogs sniffing around. That's a corpse-sniffing dog bred by our night walkers. It can smell the smell of corpses within a certain range, even corpses that have been dead for less than half a minute. Sharu explained. The pagan worshipper obviously knew this, so he didn't kill your classmates. The reason he just attacked you in the training hall was because he knew he couldn't escape, so he was just fighting like a trapped beast. When we hunt down pagans and some murderers, we bring corpse-sniffing dogs with us. In fact, we also have this consideration. As long as they want to escape smoothly, they will not dare to kill ordinary people casually, otherwise they will be immediately arrested. Our corpse-sniffing dogs noticed it and the location was naturally revealed. Sharu's explanation made Su Mu suddenly realize. He was relieved to hear that his classmate was okay. In this way, my return this time can be regarded as truly perfect. The only one who died was the pagan worshipper. Looking at Su Mu, who breathed a sigh of relief, Sharu thought of something and narrowed her eyes slightly. Speaking of which, classmate Su Mu, I have a few questions here. Isn't it convenient for you to help me answer them? Captain Shaw, please tell me. Su Mu said, I'm very curious as to why you, an ordinary high school student, carry cartilage incense with you. If I remember correctly, the price of cartilage incense should be around 30,000. From what I'm wearing, you don't think your family is wealthy. That's right, why would you spend money on cartilage incense that is of no use to your cultivation? Sharu's question made Su Mu slightly stunned. But fortunately, he had already thought about such a scene when he made this plan. Su Mu said, this is Captain Shaw. You also know that my family is not rich. The cheapest bourgeois powder sold in the market costs 5,000 yuan. In comparison, the medicinal materials are much cheaper. I'm going to start practicing soon, so I wanted to see if I could buy some medicinal materials to prepare some qi and blood medicines. But what's a bit embarrassing is that the qi and blood medicines were not prepared. Instead, I accidentally prepared something similar to cartilage incense. Originally, I wanted to wait until school was over to take it to the market to see if I could sell it for some money. I didn't expect that I would use that thing when something like this happens. Su Mu's explanation was half true and half false. It is true that he bought the medicinal materials and prepared this cartilage incense himself, but the formula was a simplified version of the cartilage incense that Shenlin gave him. As for the rest, naturally he started to prepare for the plan after he returned. His explanation did not make Sharu suspicious. She looked at Su Mu with some surprise. Can't you tell, Su Mu, You are not only so talented in martial arts, but also in pharmaceutical research. Sha Ru said. However, it is better not to take the qi and blood medicines that you have prepared privately. In this way, you can say that you, Su Mu, have taken the most credit for arresting the heretic worshippers this time. I will report it to the higher authorities and try to get some help. You apply for a bravery award. Reward for bravery. Captain Shaw, could I ask how much the reward is? Su Mu's eyes lit up. He is worried about how to make money to support his family so that his parents don't have to work so hard. Seeing Su Mu's reaction, Sha Ru laughed and said, generally speaking, there are levels of awards for bravery. In your case, I will try to see if I can help you apply for a second-level award. I can probably get one for 150,000 yuan. Looks like 150,000. It's simply more than their family's annual income. Then it's up to you, Captain Shaw. Su Mu said. Sha Ru waved her hand. This is what I should do. Don't call me Captain Shaw. If you don't mind, I should be a few years older than you, so you can call me Sister Ru. With your qualifications, it shouldn't be difficult to get into the top martial arts university in Daxia. When you go back to your summer internship, you can consider joining the Night Walkers in our 3rd security zone. I will take you there myself. Feeling the kindness released by Sha Ru, Su Mu nodded. I will definitely consider it seriously when the time comes. Sha Ru also nodded with satisfaction. She quite likes this brave, resourceful, and handsome little boy. Of course, it's not the kind of love between men and women, but the kind of love that a sister likes for her younger brother. By the way, you just said that you bought some medicines yourself. In addition to the medicines similar to cartilage incense, I think you may have some talent in medicine research. You can consider joining our researcher guild in Daxia. The researcher guild there is a special forum where you can upload some medicine formulas that you have researched privately. If the upload is passed, you can get monetary rewards, and if it is downloaded and cited later, you will also get corresponding benefits, so you don't have to worry about leaks. Daxia is very strict about this aspect. Upload the potion formula. Su Mu fell into thinking. He really hadn't considered this before. This is normal. A few days ago, he was just an ordinary high school student. My biggest dream is to get admitted to a martial arts university and lead a good life for my family. Naturally, I never thought about making money. Well, in addition to potion formulas, there are also people on the researcher forum who upload body refining techniques, breathing techniques, and some martial arts. Some of them have just been created, so the selling price will be much cheaper than on the market. You with such qualifications, it is best to practice better physical training and breathing techniques. Can I still upload physical refining techniques and breathing techniques? Su Mu's eyes gradually brightened. It seems that sometimes, it is not that there are no ways to make money, but that I am temporarily imprisoned by some previous thoughts. I know, Sister Ru. Sha Ru also nodded. If that's okay, I'll go back first. I wish you good results in the college entrance examination. Thank you, Sister Ru. Watch Sha Ru leave. Su Mu also returned to the training hall. The blood stains in the training hall have been cleaned up. The remaining students who had not yet tested also returned to the training hall. Wait for the gas and blood testing equipment to be debugged before testing the gas and blood values. As soon as Su Mu entered the training hall, he felt countless eyes on him. Su Mu is here. As expected, he should be the number 1 in our high school this year. That's for sure. 4.13. Oh my god, if it weren't for the talent awakening I did with him yesterday, I would have doubted whether he would have started practicing already. Su Mu is so handsome. Not only is he talented, but he is also brave and resourceful. I was almost scared to death just now. Su Mu actually came forward and offered to exchange with that girl. This is so brave. That is to say, the hero saves the beauty. She was so handsome just now. But the captain's sister of the Night Walker just now was also so handsome. She killed the pagan guy in an instant. I didn't even see her clearly. With her movements, her strength is at least that of a second-level warrior, right? She obviously doesn't look much older than us. After I graduate, I also want to join the Night Walkers and eradicate all the moths behind our human race. He didn't care about the comments of people around him. Su Mu went straight back to the team of her class. Just joined the team. Zhang Heliu waved to him. Su Mu, Come with me. Nodding, Su Mu quickly followed Zhang Heliu. Under the leadership of Zhang Heliu, Su Mu came all the way to the principal's office. Principal, I brought Su Mu here. Zhang Heliu knocked on the door. The next moment, the door was opened, and a white-haired old man stood at the door with a smile on his face. Classmate Su Mu, you are finally here. Teacher Zhang, then you can continue your work. I will chat with Su Mu alone. Hearing this, Zhang Heliu said, Principal, I'll leave first. Then he patted Su Mu's shoulder lightly, turned around and left. Su Mu walked into the office. The principal motioned for Su Mu to sit on the sofa nearby. I never expected that a genius like you, Su Mu, would appear in our high school. Obviously, the news that Su Mu's blood level test showed 4.13 has reached the principal at a very fast speed. I heard the principal actually said this. Su Mu was already prepared. He smiled at the principal and said, it's all cultivated by the school. Ha 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 ha. The principal laughed, and then said, the school hasn't helped you much in this regard. I called you Su Mu here this time because I want to praise your behavior on behalf of the school. You guys are in the training hall. I have heard about everything. Su Mu, you have done a great job. As a newcomer who has just stepped into the martial arts, you are not afraid of danger, are brave and resourceful, and save the lives of those who worship paganism. Classmate, this is really worthy of learning and admiration by other students. I decided to publish your story on the homepage of our school bulletin board, so that the students in the second and first grade of high school can learn from you, a senior. In addition, regarding your behavior, our school is also going to give you a bravery award. Although it is not comparable to the Nightwalker's Bravery Award, I'm afraid it will take a while for the Nightwalker's Bravery Award to come out. There will also be bonuses and other things. It will take some time to be distributed. The principal said, as a reward for your bravery, our school can distribute the bonus to you immediately. Hearing the principal's words, Su Mu's eyes lit up, and then she said with some embarrassment, Principal, how much is the school's reward for bravery? The principal said, 50,000 yuan. In addition, student Su Mu, in view of your outstanding talent, I also discussed with several leaders of the school and decided to directly grant you a one-time special scholarship. Therefore, the two together, the total is $150,000. The principal looked at Su Mu with a smile. I hope you, Su Mu, can make good use of this money, work hard to improve your strength, and prepare for the college entrance examination in 6 months. It is best to be admitted to Longjing Martial Arts University and contribute to our high school. Fight for glory. At this moment, Su Mu was still immersed in the joy of having just received a huge sum of money. 150,000. He was already extremely happy when he heard that Yi Xingren was willing to pay the reward for his bravery. Unexpectedly, the school now wants to reward him with 150,000 yuan. Added together, that's a full 300,000. How much blood food and medicinal materials are enough to prepare qi and blood medicines? Thank you, Principal. Su Mu stood up and thanked the principal. I will definitely live up to the school's expectations. Ha 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 ha. Work hard. Try to win the first-class scholarship during the next qi and blood test. Call. Thinking about the 150,000 in his school bag, Su Mu felt that her steps were much lighter. The bonuses given by the school are different from the Nightwalker's awards for bravery. Nightwalker's Bravery Award will only be given out after Sha Ru has reported it and received approval. But for the school's scholarship, I just took out 15 piles of Daxia coins and threw them in front of Su Mu. 150,000 Daxia coins. I don't know how surprised my family will be when I take it back. However, Su Mu did not go home immediately after school. Instead, he chose to buy some medicinal materials from a nearby medicine store. There are a large number of pharmaceutical formulas in Deep Blue's database. There is also the body of an intelligent insect in Su Mu's hand. With some medicinal materials, some qi and blood medicines can be prepared. If it works well, Su Mu even felt that in the future, he would no longer need to buy those qi and blood medicines on the market. He could just buy some medicinal materials himself and configure them himself according to the formula given by Shenlin. Not only the cost could be reduced a lot, but the effect is estimated to be better than the qi and blood medicines on the market or much better. It cost about 30,000 yuan to purchase medicinal materials. These are just medicinal materials. If Su Mu had directly purchased qi and blood medicines that matched these medicinal materials, it is estimated that his 150,000 yuan would not be enough. After carefully putting the medicinal materials into the school bag, Su Mu quickly returned home. Every time I come home, I can smell the rich aroma of meat. Dad, Mom, I'm back. After returning home, Su Mu first returned to her room and put away the medicinal materials. Then, she found the remaining 120,000 yuan and wrapped it in a black plastic bag. More is back. Your dad won't be back until evening, let us eat first. Lu Yufan, wearing an apron, walked out of the kitchen carrying a large basin of meat. It's time for dinner, more Yanger. After dinner, Yanger washed the bowls. I have to rush to the factory to work the night shift. Soon, the family sat at the dinner table. Before eating, Su Mu handed the plastic bag containing 120,000 Daxia coins to Lu Yufan. Mom, this is for you. See the black plastic bag handed over by Su Mu. Lu Yufan was a little curious at first. What is it? It's mysterious. Su Yong on the side also came up to take a look. Brother, is it something delicious? Just remember to eat. Lu Yufan opened the black plastic bag with a smile. After seeing the contents inside the black plastic bag, she suddenly showed a look of shock. This, so much money. Where did you get all this money? More. Lu Yufan looked at Su Mu with some horror. More, don't scare me, don't do anything stupid. Oh my god, brother, where did you get so much money? Su Mu gave Lu Yufan a reassuring expression. Don't worry, Mom, this is the scholarship given to me by the school. He said, didn't I take a qi and blood test today? Mom, what do you think my qi and blood value is? How much? Lu Yufan was relieved to hear that the money was a scholarship given to Su Mu by the school. 4.13. Su Mu said. 4.4.13. Lu Yufan was stunned for a moment, and then her face showed an expression of surprise and joy. More, you didn't lie to Mom, did you? 4.13. The result of your first qi and blood test. You just woke up yesterday. Seeing Lu Yufan's expression, Su Mu felt a little proud and happy. Isn't it just to get the approval of your family when you work hard? Brother, is 4.13 very high? The school gives you so many scholarships. Su Yong has just entered junior high school and is not very clear about the concept of blood value. Of course, this is also because this guy didn't study well in school. Don't let you study hard. Lu Yufan naturally knew the value of 4.13. Su Mu touched Su Yang's head and said, generally, the qi and blood value of ordinary people before awakening is between 0.6 and 0.8. After the first practice, the qi and blood value generally increases between 0.1 and 0.3. In our third and the top high schools in the 3 safety zone, the blood value increase is only 0.4 to 0.8, and your brother and I have increased it by nearly 3, so do you think it's great? Hearing Su Mu's description, Su Yang's eyes became brighter and brighter. Brother, you are so awesome. It's not bad. Su Mu touched Su Yang's head again. Mom, there were originally 150,000 yuan in it, of which 30,000 yuan, I bought some qi and blood medicines, and the rest was put away first. You and Dad don't have to work so hard, I will find a way to make money. Okay. Lu Yufan carefully tied the black plastic bag containing 120,000 Daxia coins, then took out a box from the cabinet and put it in, and then said, my son has grown up. But more, this period is a critical period for you. Don't think too much about making money. Your father and I will find a way. Just concentrate on your cultivation. Eat whatever you want, or ask for money to buy qi and blood. Just tell Mom about medicines and stuff. Su Mu also knew that nowadays, it is impossible for parents to take a break and stop rushing to make money. She did not persuade her, but just said, well, Mom, don't work too hard for you and Dad. Besides, you guys don't buy qi and blood medicines randomly, some may not be suitable for me. When I need qi and blood medicines, I will buy them myself. Instead of spending money to buy qi and blood medicines, it is better for Su Mu to buy some qi and blood medicines and prepare them according to Deep Blue's formula. The formulas in the Deep Blue database are 10 years more advanced than they are now, and they also include information from all races. There are quite a lot of formulas. Hearing Su Mu's words, Lu Yufan also nodded. Originally, she was planning to go to the market to buy 2 pairs of blood supplements when she got off work tonight. Now that Su Mu said this, she was going to leave the money to Su Mu and let Su Mu buy qi and blood medicines according to her own situation. Well, don't worry. If you want to buy qi and blood medicine, just tell mom, or go and get the money yourself. You know where to put it. Just tell mom when you use it. Don't be reluctant to part with it. This is the college entrance examination in your life. It will be too late to regret if you miss it. I know, Mom. Do you think I'm the kind of person who doesn't know what's serious? Besides, don't you think I just spent 30,000 yuan to buy qi and blood medicines? Don't worry. Su Mu's words made Lu Yufan nodded. Okay, let's eat quickly, the food is getting cold. Because of the Su Mu scholarship, the atmosphere at the dinner table was obviously much lighter. After a meal, Su Mu returned to her room. The first thing I did when I returned to my room was to check the diary under the bed. He was not afraid that his diary would be read by others. My future self said that only he can open this diary. He mainly touched it out of habit. If I didn't have this diary, I'm afraid I would still be an ordinary high school student now, right? After lying on the bed for a while, Su Mu suddenly sat up. He suddenly thought of the Researchers Guild that Sharu mentioned during the day. Without much hesitation, Su Mu quickly stood up and walked to her desk. His family bought him a computer so that he could use it to check some martial arts information. Although Su Mu's family is not rich, Su's father and Su's mother have always given the best within their abilities to their 2 children, Su Mu and Su Yang. Coming to the computer desk, turning on the computer, Su Mu began to search for information about the Researchers Guild. He had also heard about the Researchers Guild, but because it had little to do with him at the time, it went in one ear and out the other. Now, after searching the Researcher Guild, Su Mu has a general understanding of this organization. The Researchers Guild is an official organization affiliated with the entire human race. It's just that there are researcher associations in different countries and in charge of different national fields. The Researcher Guild is responsible for a wide range of research, from the weaknesses of all races to the physical refining techniques, breathing techniques and martial arts practiced by the human race, the qi and blood medicines used for cultivation, etc. These are all the results of the Researcher Guild. Everyone who enters martial arts can join the Researcher Guild. After joining the Researcher Guild, you can log into the Researcher Forum. On the Researcher Forum, some Wanzhou researchers will publish their research on the weaknesses of a certain Wanzhou race. Some pharmaceutical researchers will also publish the latest qi and blood medicines or other medicine formulas they have researched. Not only for these people whose main occupation is researchers, there will also be many warriors on the Researcher Forum, who will share the physical refining techniques, breathing techniques and martial arts skills they have discovered. In Daxia, whether it is medicine formulas, body refining techniques, breathing techniques, or martial arts, they are all strictly protected by the Daxia Martial Alliance. The formula of the medicine is okay. As long as you don't make a profit from it, sell it in large quantities privately, and just prepare some qi and blood medicines for your own use, you will not be sanctioned by the laws of Daxia. However, body refining, breathing techniques, and martial arts are all registered with serial numbers in the Daxia Martial Arts League. Every time a copy is sold, the income will be divided between the creator and other channels. Therefore, if the cultivator and the buyer are different, they will be severely punished by the Bactrian law. As for some of the body refining breathing techniques and martial arts posted on the Researcher Forum, most of them have just been created, and their specific effects are not yet clear. Therefore, the price of the body refining technique breathing techniques of the same level is much cheaper than the market. If you are lucky, you can even find a good physical training and breathing method at a very low price. Based on the strategies found on the internet, Su Mu quickly signed up online to join the Researchers Guild. It didn't take long after signing up to join the Researchers Guild. The Researchers Guild sent a Researcher Forum account to his email. After logging into your account, Su Mu gave herself the name, Savior. I started browsing the forum. The entire Researcher Forum is mainly divided into several sections. The 10,000 races section mainly discusses the weaknesses, habits and writings of the 10,000 races. A large number of people among them are warriors on the front lines of the 10,000 races battlefield. The pharmaceutical section is mainly for sharing some pharmaceutical formulas. The martial arts section mainly shares some created body refining techniques, breathing techniques and martial arts. However, this section is of little use to Su Mu. His 10,000 races body refining technique and innate fetal breath technique are already the most suitable for him at this stage. Physical training and breathing techniques. Moreover, one of the two is a product of Wanzu, and the other will not be invented until a few years later. Su Mu does not have to worry about the risk of being sanctioned by the laws of Daxia. This kind of risk had already been avoided by Shenlan when he was searching for him. I have to say that my future self is very thoughtful in this aspect. Su Mu mainly focused on the 10,000 races sector and the pharmacy sector. Because he has just joined the Researchers Guild, he is still a level 0 researcher. As more and more posts and answers he uploads to the researcher forum are accepted, his researcher level will also increase. What will happen if I use Deep Blue to answer as many questions as possible in the 10,000 races section, and then release a large number of potion formulas and martial arts skills in the medicine section and martial arts section? An idea suddenly appeared in Su Mu's mind. Now, his mental strength has been completely restored. Enough to support him in his death retreat. If it was really feasible, he might be able to get rich overnight by relying on this, and he would no longer have to worry about insufficient training funds. And even if something goes wrong, Su Mu can choose to commit suicide at any time. The death rollback gives Su Mu unlimited possibilities of trial and error. Just do it. Su Mu immediately started using the Savior account to answer questions from the 10,000 races section on the researcher forum, as well as publish some potion formulas, physical refining breathing techniques, and martial arts. Less than 10 minutes, Su Mu has become a level 1 researcher. As the researcher level increases, the privileges Su Mu possesses also increase. After another 10 minutes, Su Mu became a level 2 researcher. 15 minutes later, Su Mu became a level 3 researcher. 20 minutes later, Su Mu became a level 4 researcher. 25 minutes, level 5 researcher. 30 minutes, level 6 researcher. 35 minutes, level 7 researcher. 40 minutes, level 8 researcher. 45 minutes, level 9 researcher. In less than 4 hours in total, Su Mu jumped from a level 0 researcher at the beginning to a level 9 researcher, the highest level in the researcher forum. In his personal account, there are tens of billions of Daxia coins. These are the benefits he obtained by answering posts, uploading potion recipes, and physical refining techniques. This is only a few hours. If it lasts longer, he might be able to earn more than this every day. At the same time, the entire researcher forum was also shaken. The Savior boss has reached level 4. The Savior boss has reached level 5. Oh my God, am I witnessing the birth of a myth? I just went out for a meal, and when I came back, the Savior boss was already at level 9. There are only a few level 9 researchers in the entire human race, right? Where is this place? The boss who came here must be the trumpet of a certain 9th level researcher, right? What are you thinking? Do you think the researcher level is so easy to improve? Even if it is a 9th level researcher, it is impossible to promote a 0 level researcher to a 9th level researcher in just 4 hours. Those potion formulas and physical refining techniques, breathing methods, etc., you have to create new ones that have not been released before you can get researcher points and improve your level. Who is this big savior? Is this really the savior of the human race coming to the world? And at this moment, outside Su Mu's house, there was a sudden knock on the door. Who? At this time, Su's father and Su's mother had already returned. When someone opened the door, Su's father, Su Dashan, walked out of the room. Su Dashan was wearing a sweat vest and said sleepily, "Who is it?" Opening the door, I saw several people wearing armor standing outside. Excuse me, is this researcher Su's home? We are the top secret guards of the Researchers Guild. We have been ordered to pick up researcher Su and his family to Dragon City, the center of the 9th security zone. Su, researcher Su, are you looking for the wrong person? Su Dashan had obviously just been woken up from his sleep, and his head was a little dazed. The man in black armor looked at each other and the teammate next to him, and then said, "You are researcher Su's father, Mr. Su Dashan, right?" I am." Su Dashan suddenly woke up when he heard his name being called from the other side. Su Mu also heard the noise outside at this time. As soon as she left the room, she saw the man in armor appearing at the door. The armored man also saw Su Mu. Suddenly his face lit up with joy. Researcher Su, I am the top secret guard of the Researchers Guild, and I have been ordered to take you and your family to Dragon City, the center of the 9th security zone. Su, Researcher Su. Su Dashan seemed to understand at this moment that the researcher Su mentioned by the top secret guard seemed to be his son Su Mu. You, are you calling me? Su Mu seemed to understand something. It seems that he caused the incident in the researcher forum. The armored man nodded. Researcher Su, without further ado, please quickly take your family and rush to the 9th security zone with us. To be honest, with your identity, you and your family are in the 3rd security zone, and not safe. Okay, Su Mu nodded, suppressing her inner excitement. Originally, he just wanted to test what would happen if he quickly rose to level 9 researcher in the researcher forum. But now it seems that it is a bit too big. After all, Su Mu is just an 18-year-old ordinary high school student who has not even entered society. Seeing such a battle, I was naturally excited and curious. The top secret guard of the Researcher Guild, he sounds very powerful when he hears it. Su Mu directly called out Shenlin and began to check the information of the several armored men in front of her. Name, unknown. Vitality value, 143.92 million. Early stage of 7th realm warrior. For convenience, some large numbers are expressed in this way. Physical refining technique. True dragon body refining technique. Breathing method. Dragon breath technique. Talent, to be analyzed. Name, unknown. Chi and blood value, 87.52 million. Late stage of 6th realm warrior. Physical refining technique. True dragon body refining technique. Breathing method. Dragon breath technique. Talent, to be analyzed. Name, unknown. Chi and blood value, 86.43 million. Late stage of 6th realm warrior. Physical refining technique. True dragon body refining technique. Breathing method. Dragon breath technique. Talent, to be analyzed. Look at the health levels of those armored men. Su Mu's eyes almost widened. 1, 10, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, billions. 7th realm warrior. That's a 7th level warrior. On weekdays, Su Mu is probably not even qualified to meet a strong person. Such a person is now respectfully called Researcher Su. I'm afraid Su Mu herself doesn't realize her own value now. With what he showed at the seminar forum, he is definitely an important figure who can promote the development of the entire human race. Not only is he proficient in the various weaknesses of all races, but he also has a large number of pharmaceutical formulas, body refining techniques, breathing techniques and martial arts in his hands. Therefore, after Su Mu showed in the researcher forum that she quickly rose from level 0 to level 9 researcher, she immediately attracted the attention of the Researcher Guild headquarters. Then the top secret guard who was nearby was quickly sent to take Su Mu and his family to the 9th safety zone. Among the 56 safety zones in Daxia, the 9th, 19th, 29th, 39th, and 49th are the 5 most important safety zones. There are 5 directions: east, west, south, north and center. Among them, the 9th safe zone is a place similar to the capital of Daxia. Dragon City, the center of the 9th security zone, is where all the most important people to the entire human race and their families live. What Su Mu did in the researcher forum obviously received unparalleled attention from above. This is how you get such treatment. Soon, in confusion, Su's father, Su's mother, and Su Yang, who had not yet woken up, were brought into the car with Su Mu by these men in armor. The car is an armored vehicle whose entire body is made of special metal. It should be the best vehicle these top secret guards can find in the 3rd security zone. Su Mu and the leading armored man were sitting in a car, while Su Mu's family members and the rest of the armored men were sitting in a car in front. The 2 cars were driving fast on the road. Why are you suddenly taking me and my family to Central Dragon City? Researcher Su, according to the information we have received, with your current level of importance, it is very unsafe to stay in the 3rd safety zone. The armored man replied. In fact, not only the 3rd safe zone, but also all safe zones of the entire human race are not safe. I don't know why. In recent years, pagan worship has become more active in various safe zones. In the early years, many geniuses who had just awakened their talents were assassinated by pagan believers before they could even step into the martial arts. At present, the safest place in Daxia is probably Central Dragon City. As he spoke, the armored man suddenly paused. Researcher Su, given your level, there is no need for me to hide some things from you. As far as I know, there are currently problems within the human race. Su Mu was stunned by the armored man's words. He had never thought about this before. Even before he got the diary, he, like Li Shangdong, believed that it was impossible for the human race to perish. But now listen to what the armored man said. The current situation of the human race does not seem so optimistic. There are constant wars between alien races outside, and now there are problems within the human race, with internal and external troubles. From this point of view, it is not impossible that the human race will be destroyed in 10 years. The car drove for about 5 or 6 hours. Su Mu was almost asleep in the car. Suddenly he was awakened by a loud noise coming from outside. Boom! Hear this sound. The armored man's expression changed slightly. Enemy attack. It was at the same time that the armored man finished speaking. In front of their 2 cars. Suddenly there was a burst of fire, as if something exploded. Human traitor. The armored man cursed lowly. Then he kicked open the door. The special metal armored car was as fragile as tissue paper under the man's strength. Researcher Su, I will escort you to a nearby safe place first. After that, he grabbed Su Mu, put his foot lightly on the seat, and left the high-speed moving armored vehicle. Under the strength of the armored man, Su Mu was caught in his arms like a little chicken. The moment he left the armored vehicle they were in was cut straight into pieces by a sword energy falling from the sky. The entire ground was suddenly torn into 2 halves by that terrifying sword energy. In Su Mu's eyes, the car where his family was in also fell within the attack range of the sword energy. Su Mu's head buzzed. A 9th level researcher, you are still so young, maybe you have awakened some extraordinary talent, right? Just when Su Mu was still immersed in the grief of the death of her family member, a figure stood in the sky. He looked down at the armored man and Su Mu below with cold and arrogant eyes. No wonder, those losers below don't hesitate to ask me to take action myself. Saw that figure in the sky. The armored man's pupils narrowed. 8th realm warrior, there are actually heretics like you hiding behind the human race. The figure in the sky smiled disdainfully. Worship a pagan religion. Don't compare me with those losers. Trash. The armored man frowned slightly. He protected Su Mu behind him. The armor on his body began to slowly shrink, and finally turned into a bracelet. He pressed the bracelet on Su Mu's arm. Transfer permissions. As his words fell, the bracelet was immediately fastened on Su Mu's arm. Researcher Su, this S-class armor can withstand attacks from warriors of the 7th realm, and can greatly increase speed and strength. This place is very close to the 7th safe zone. I have already notified the nearby night walkers. You run in that direction. It shouldn't take long to meet them. I'm here to hold this guy back. The armored man pressed Su Mu's bracelet. The next moment, the bracelet immediately turned into a battle armor, covering Su Mu's entire body. The figure above also heard what the armored man said to Su Mu. He seemed to smile disdainfully. A 7th level warrior, who gave you the courage to stop me, an 8th level warrior. The armored man ignored it and pushed Su Mu forward. Run. He looked towards the figure in the sky. Then he took out a syringe from his arms and stabbed it into his arm. He looked at the syringe the man in armor took out. The figure in the sky was a little surprised. Deadly injection. It can greatly increase your strength after being injected, but you will die after 10 minutes. Is it worth working so hard for this human race? The armored man didn't answer him. Veins popped out on his face. Clearly suffering unbearable pain, but correspondingly, his aura is also constantly increasing. Interesting, in the late 7th realm, this fatal needle is really useful. The figure in the sky sighed. HMPH. He stared at the figure in the sky with all his concentration. You hidden person, do you dare to tell me your name? Your grandfather and I never kill unknown people. Do you want to find out my name? The figure in the sky said calmly. I came here hiding my appearance. Do you think I will easily reveal my identity? Just as the two were having a conversation, Su Mu was also staring at the figure in the sky. Although the pain of seeing a family member die in front of you is difficult to accept. But Su Mu is a person who can return to the past after death, so she quickly recovered from this grief. His only thought now is to find out the identity of this human traitor before he dies. It's a pity, just like that figure said. His entire body was shrouded in shadow, and even his movements could not be seen clearly, let alone his appearance. Even if Shen Lan wanted to analyze his blood value, he couldn't do it. Coward. The armored man's eyes were red at the moment, and the only thing in his sight seemed to be the figure in the sky. The figure also looked at the armored man below with great interest. You are a very respectable guy, but that's all. The armored man snorted coldly, turned his hand, and a black spear appeared in his hand. He held the spear in his hand, bowed his legs slightly, and in the next moment, his whole body was like an arrow leaving the string, flying towards the figure in the sky. The figure in the sky seemed to have noticed that Su Mu had not left, so he had the time to fight with the armored man in front of him. Pong, chang, spears and swords collided. It is hard to imagine that the armored man's seemingly powerful and heavy blow was easily caught in front of that figure. The battle between the two in the air was so fast that only two lights, one gray and one black, could be seen constantly colliding. Su Mu looked down below, filled with shock. From his perspective, although the details of the battle between the two people could not be clearly seen, but he could clearly see the space where the two were fighting. From time to time, there will be scenes where the space is torn apart and then restored immediately. One can imagine how powerful the power that erupted when the two of them fought was. Run, Researcher Su. During the battle, the armored man finally noticed that Su Mu was still in the same place. Suddenly I felt anxious. The figure also decisively caught his flaw and pierced the armored man's abdomen with a sword. Suddenly, the armored man who was stabbed in the abdomen spat out a mouthful of blood. His breath suddenly became weak. After all, you are still a little weak in strength. If you want to fight me, let Yifeng come over. His eyes fell to Su Mu below. Now, it's time to end this. He swung his long sword in Su Mu's direction. A sword energy rushed towards Su Mu's direction. Seeing that the sword energy was about to fall on Su Mu, the armored man ignored his own injuries and quickly turned into a black light, blocking Su Mu's body. Puff! The armored man was already seriously injured, and after receiving this blow, he immediately fell to the ground. After falling to the ground, he tried hard to crawl towards Su Mu. Run, run quickly. Looking at the armored man on the ground, Su Mu gritted her teeth. He said a little guiltily, I'm sorry. If he hadn't wanted to test what it would be like to be upgraded to a 9th-level researcher, I'm afraid the armored man wouldn't have suffered such an unintentional disaster, but everything would return to its original state. Run, can he escape? The figure in the sky seems to be enjoying this cat-and-mouse fun. The crushing strength made him not worry about Su Mu escaping from under his nose. In fact, Su Mu never thought of escaping. His eyes were fixed on the figure in the sky. I will kill you, I will. After hearing Su Mu's words, the figure in the sky seemed to have heard some big joke. Kill me, why do you kill me? After laughing for a while, he seemed to have laughed enough. Okay, those trash guys from the human race will probably arrive soon. I hope they won't be too sad when they see your bodies. Ha 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 ha. He laughed. The long sword in his hand turned into a white light. The sharp sword energy fell from the sky like a beam of light. The entire ground was split in half. Su Mu, who was wearing S-class armor, could not block this attack at all. Researcher Su. Vaguely, Su Mu seemed to see a man in armor not far away beating the ground angrily. Su Mu's eyes gradually became dark. In his ears, the deep blue voice sounded again. Ding, you have been killed by a human traitor. The copy was successful. Congratulations on getting the SSS level talent, Sword Heart Transparent. Call. Su Mu looked at the interface for joining the Researchers Guild on the computer with some horror. 12 hours after his death, he went back to the time when he had just chosen to join the Researchers Guild. Those 12 hours of experience seemed to him like a dream. However, it is an extremely real dream. When he saw his family being annihilated by that sword energy, the unspeakable pain in his heart almost made him feel suffocated. Fortunately, he is back now. Back when everything was just beginning. Su Mu looked at the interface and was not in a hurry to choose to join the Researchers Guild. Instead, she was thinking about what happened in the previous 12 hours. If he hadn't learned anything from these 12 hours of experience, his death would have been in vain. The first thing to note is about this researcher forum. Su Mu was upgraded from a level 0 researcher to a level 9 researcher in about 4 hours. Not long after he was upgraded to a level 9 researcher, the top secret guard of the Researcher Guild came to him. This is enough to prove that the researcher's information is actually very likely to be transparent in the Researchers Guild. If you just upgrade slowly, it may be fine, but if you upgrade in a very short time like Su Mu, you will naturally be affected. Great attention. It would be fine if he simply received attention, but from his experience before his death, it can be seen that there is a problem within the human race. The figure whose combat power was nearly invincible in the air appeared in his mind. In his opinion, the armored man who was already the strongest person he had ever seen was being played like a mouse in front of that figure. 8th Realm Warrior. This was something Su Mu had never dared to imagine before. But just a few hours ago, he saw such an existence with his own eyes. More importantly, Su Mu could clearly feel that the 8th level warrior didn't even use his full strength. If he really breaks out with all his strength, how terrifying will it be? And such a person is not only behind the human race, but also judging from the various behaviors he uses to hide his identity. He is probably a high-ranking member of the human race. Su Mu felt frightened when she thought that the top human race officials had actually infiltrated into the Wan races. This meant that before he was strong enough, his book of wisdom must not be exposed. In fact, he himself is not afraid. If the opponent kills him, he can retreat and copy the opponent's talent. He was worried about the people at home. Moreover, being killed blindly will not play a role in preventing the demise of the human race 10 years later. In order to prevent the extinction of the human race 10 years later, Su Mu must not only have strong strength, but also plan step by step to uncover the worms within the human race. What a difficult task. Su Mu, whose mental strength was already somewhat depleted, felt a headache and sat back on the chair. But fortunately, there are still 10 years to go. There is a copy after death, there is a 12-hour rewind after death, there is a book of wisdom, and in 10 years, Su Mu does not believe that she cannot change the outcome of this human race. After figuring this out, Su Mu also sat up straight. He took out a notebook from the drawer, opened the first page, and wrote down some characteristics of the figure. A master of swordsmanship. The voice does not sound old, it sounds like a young man. However, it is impossible to determine whether the voice has been changed through special methods. This clue can only be used as a reference. The talent is an SSS level talent, the heart of the sword is transparent. The gift of writing about that figure. Su Mu then remembered that she seemed to have just copied the talent of that figure. He quickly called Deep Blue and brought up Kenshin's transparent introduction. SSS level talent, sword heart transparent, bright sword heart, possessing unparalleled and powerful talent in Kendo. All Kendo martial arts can be practiced to perfection in a very short period of time. The speed of Kendo practice is increased 100 times. The ability to comprehend Kendo is increased 100 times. The Kendo martial arts are displayed in the hands. The power is increased 100 times. The long list of introductions made Su Mu feel a little confused. He guessed that the figure's talent must be very powerful. But I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Even among SSS level talents, this sword heart transparency is definitely top-notch. If the 12-hour delay after death is the ceiling for auxiliary SSS level talents, then this sword heart transparency is simply the ceiling of combat SSS level talents. With this SSS level talent, Su Mu couldn't even imagine what level he would reach if he practiced swordsmanship on his own. Like that guy, the nearly invincible figure appeared in Su Mu's mind. Then he shook his head. No, he will be stronger than him. He looked at the description of the figure in his notebook. He raised his eyebrows slightly. It seems like you've done something good. Cover the notebook and put it back in the drawer. Su Mu once again focused her attention on the computer interface in front of her. Although it is not advisable to quickly upgrade his level in a short period of time, at least it is not advisable when his current strength is insufficient. But one thing is for sure, you can indeed earn a lot of money by posting posts and answering questions. If used well, Su Mu doesn't have to worry about the funds for early training. Just do it. Su Mu quickly chose to join the Researchers Guild. Then, just like last time, Su Mu's email quickly received the account number sent by the Research Institute Guild. After logging in with his account, Su Mu still named himself Savior. It shouldn't be a big problem for a level 0 researcher to spend a few days to be promoted to a level 1 researcher, right? Su Mu started looking for suitable posts on the researcher forum. After the last experience, he roughly understood that most of the posts in the Wanzu section were to provide the weaknesses of the Wanzu, and it took time to verify, but the upgrade points obtained were more, and the funds also provided a large amount of income at one time. The potion section and martial arts section publish potion formulas and martial arts techniques such as body refining, breathing, and martial arts. Once released, specialized personnel will verify it within a very short period of time and then give a basic evaluation. The upgrade points are slightly less, and the income is mainly based on other people's downloads. This income is relatively long-term. As long as someone downloads what you upload, you will be able to get income. Su Mu prefers to publish content in the pharmacy section and the martial arts section. On the one hand, the speed of leveling up will not be so fast. On the other hand, it is more in line with his current identity. After all, now that you are behind the human race, it is not impossible for you to say that you have discovered some formulas, as well as body refining techniques and breathing methods. But it seems a bit outrageous for you to say that you know some of the weaknesses of all races without even being on the front line. After deciding, Su Mu quickly asked Shen Lan to choose a potion formula and a body refining technique. The pharmaceutical formula is called Bone Strengthening and Muscle Strengthening Powder. The materials are relatively simple, but the effect of replenishing qi and blood is excellent. It is a pharmaceutical formula that will only appear in the human race 3 years later. The body refining technique is the Bull Body Refining Technique. This body refining technique is a body refining technique adapted from the body refining method of the barbarian bull clan among all races. Although it is not comparable to top body refining skills, it can still be regarded as an above-average level. I don't know how much benefit these two can bring me. After releasing the potion formula and body refining technique, Su Mu took out the 30,000 yuan worth of medicinal materials she purchased. Next, we need to start arranging qi and blood medicines and practice hard. I will kill you, I will. Place the medicine heavily on the table. Su Mu suddenly said this sentence from her mouth. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.